Good morning. During the declared emergency in the City of Toronto, Committee of Adjustment virtual public hearings are being conducted via WebEx, an online digital platform, and will be live streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and a provincial order that limits attendance at public gatherings. My name is Nancy Ullman, and I will be chairing this hearing. Panel members participating via WebEx and who can be seen and heard are Yim Chan, Peter Reed, and Nimrod Salomon. City staff will be assisting us throughout the meeting, including moderating the WebEx platform. Agents, applicants, and other interested parties participating in this virtual hearing registered in advance and will be connecting through WebEx using a compatible electronic device. Their participation will be through audio only. We acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and it is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with Sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment for the City of Toronto is called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw that apply to the property, permission to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consent to sever property to create new lots. Anyone who wants to receive a copy of the committee's decision for an application must submit a written request by email to the general email address for the Committee of Adjustment, Toronto and East York District Office. Please include your name, address, and an email address. All Committee of Adjustment and TLAB notifications and appeal updates will be sent by email only. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, decisions may be appealed to the Toronto local appeal body known as TLAB, or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal. Appeal instructions will be set out at the bottom of the committee's decision. Participants who have registered in advance will be connected to this virtual hearing and will be muted automatically upon entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired, and when the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chairs should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant or agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee, and I'll comment when you're reaching the 5-minute mark. When addressing the committee, please speak slowly and clearly state your name and address. Please confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. Where required, the applicant or agent will proceed first with a presentation of the application, and then individuals either in support or opposed to the application will be invited to speak. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have completed their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant or agent will be unmuted and will have an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion, and the application will be taken into committee for a decision. Please note, the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised to ensure the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice are informed of the changes. Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, have the minutes of the last Committee of Adjustment public hearing been confirmed by the members?
Good morning, Madam Chair and panel members. We have 2 sets of minutes from January 26 from both Panel A and Panel B that are ready for adoption.
Okay, we can do that with one motion then?
Yes.
Okay, members, so can I have someone move a motion to adopt the minutes for the January 26th Panel A and B meeting? Okay, that's moved by Mr. Salomon and seconded by Ms. Chan. You guys were almost with your hands at the same time there, so. All right, so all in favor? Okay, so that passes. Panel members or staff, does anyone have an interest to declare in any of the morning items? Seeing none? Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, are you aware of any requests to close or withdraw any files this morning?
See none for today.
Okay, so we'll proceed with our hearing then.
Madam Chair, can you just push your mic a little bit closer?
Okay, how's that? Okay, the first item is 513 Ossington Avenue. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have traffic. They're okay actually with the application, and planning has a condition it was sent to us by email. I don't know if we could put up the planning condition, and we have a 12 signature petition in support from residents on Ossington as well as Roxton Road. And that includes number 515, which is adjacent. I'm not showing any speakers other than the agent. Do I have the agent on the line?
Hello, this is David Riley. I'm from SGL Planning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Panel members, do you need a presentation on this, or can we go to questions? Anybody? Mr. Salomon, you have a question?
Yes, I'd like the applicant to address the variances and why they believe that the variance for the secondary suites to 90% is minor in nature.
Certainly happy to do so. As you know, the property is located on the east side of Ossington, approximately midway between College and Harvard. So it's about 200 meters north of College. This building that's on the property today, it was not the original dwelling that was located on the property, and it's actually an existing triplex. So it has 3 existing units which are accessed from interior hallways. So the structure was constructed to accommodate multiple units. So the proposal is to add additional units to the building for a total of 6 units by constructing a 3rd floor addition as well as an addition at the front and at the rear of the dwelling. The existing building was built at a significant setback from the street in relation to neighboring buildings. And at the front, the proposal is to bring the building closer to the street, more in line with the adjacent dwellings, and to add a porch and stairs with access to the basement unit. The area between the sidewalk and the front wall will be landscaped to maintain the character of the street. With respect to the additional units requested in that variance, certainly I think we have to look at the provincial policy and official plan policy to encourage and promote more housing options within the city. Seeing as how this was an existing triplex, and although it is identified in the zoning notice as a single detached dwelling for the purposes of this application, as there will be 6 units, the number of units is not a variance. Number of secondary suites, as you know, you can have multiple secondary suites, but as soon as you have more than 1 secondary suite, you exceed this variance of that maximum 45%. And in my opinion, you have to look at everything holistically. And I think that it's appropriate to consider adding more houses here, or adding more dwelling units here. We're going to have a range of 1 and 2 bedroom units, you know, certainly in an area that's very transit accessible, and we're able to do so in a way that's compatible with the adjacent buildings. As I said, with the front as well as at the rear, the depth of the dwelling actually falls in between the depth of the existing dwellings on either side. As noted, there's signatures in support from area residents, and I'm not aware of any objections that have been noted for this application.
Any further questions,
Great.
panel member?
Thank you, that was helpful. Thank you.
No more questions? Mr. Riley, there are no more questions. We don't need a presentation. Is there anything you want to add that's not in the materials that you feel we need to know before we make a decision?
No, I think that covers it. Just thank you for your time for letting me explain that. The only other thing I would add was that there's many dwellings in the area that have multiple units. And there's many examples of front basement entrances, including immediately next door to the north on this property. And we're very happy with the city's condition to submit a landscape plan, and I think this is addressing what the basement entrance looks like and to make sure that, you know, it can be integrated well into the landscaping and potentially screened with landscaping. So that's the only other thing I wanted to add.
Okay, thank you. Panel members, we're in committee. Ms. Chan?
Oh, yeah, I'd like to start. Yeah, I know the area really well. Actually, in this part of Ossington, from Dundas up to Bloor Street, has been really going a lot, with a lot of changes and development in the last few years. And I think that there are a lot of similar property have multiple rental units. And I think this development is in keeping with the others in the area, and I'm in support of it with the condition given by planning.
Okay, is there anybody else that wants to comment? If not, Ms. Chen, you want to move a motion? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I move a motion for approval with the taking the condition given by planning about the front yard landscaping.
Okay, that's seconded by Mr. Reed. So the motion to approve, including the planning condition, moved by Ms. Chan, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor? Okay, the application has been unanimously approved. Thank you. Item number 2, 52 Wales Avenue. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 2 photographs of existing trees, presentation materials from the agent. We have correspondence from the owners. We have a staff report from forestry. They're asking for condition number 1. We have, I believe in the supplemental agenda, we have a report from Heritage dated February 2nd, which makes some recommendations. We have correspondence in support from number 46, Wales, as well as 1 Leonard Place and 55 and 60 Wales, and correspondence in opposition from number 54. Do I have the agent on the line? And after you state your name, I believe I read that you want to remove a variance. If you'd have to do that for the record, so if you can clarify that after you identify yourself.
Yeah. Yes, hi, my name is John Ramirez. I'm the applicant and agent. Yes, we do want to remove item number 4.
Okay.
We got an updated survey that shows that we won't need this variance anymore.
Okay, so variance number 4, the minimum required distance between the main walls for a townhouse is 2 meters, and we're asking for 1.2, so that's removed. Okay, do you have the 2 speakers listed, the opposition on the line, just so I can?
Madam Chair, yes, they are present.
Okay. Mr. Ramirez, we do have 2 people speaking in opposition. If you can do a 5-minute presentation, please.
Sure. I did submit some presentational material. If we can just bring that up.
Do
Okay.
you want us to put it up?
Yeah.
Any
So
page in particular you want up right now?
we can just go one by. I'll just go quickly through them. I'll be
Okay.
within time.
All right.
So yeah, we're now asking for 6 variances. The variances are in regards to building depth, floor space, setbacks to an exterior stair, a platform encroachment, a side yard setback to an auxiliary building, and a secondary suite with an interior floor space area of 3.52 square meters. If we can just go down to the breakdown of the variances, we have a building depth difference of 5.03 meters, which I'll be discussing soon. We're asking for 0.4 times the lot area additional. Exterior setback to the stairs, we're at 0.28. Platform encroachment is at 1.08 meters. The setback to the auxiliary building is, the setback to the sides is 1.64 meters. And the additional square footage for a secondary suite with interior floor space is 1.22 square meters. So if we can go to variance, the next slide, we have a variance. We're going to talk about the first variance, which is the building depth. The building depth is an existing building depth. We didn't add any more depth to what it was the day we started construction. This house was already a 2-unit house. So as per the bylaw, whenever you have a 2-unit house, you're supposed to meet the building depth of 14 meters. But because it was existing and we're building on the existing footprint, we're just submitting, or we're just trying to get a variance for 19.3 meters, which is the existing building depth. We can go to the next slide. I've provided some information here. You can see that what's green is going to be new and what's gray is existing. So you can see that there's the green area would be the additional floor space that we're asking for. We noticed that in this area, it's pretty common to have a floor space area of what we're asking for today. If anything, there's some other buildings that have greater floor space area that we're requesting today. We also took into consideration the back of the house, staggering the addition so that we wouldn't put any impact to the back or to the neighbors adjacent to us. You could also see that we're building on the existing footprint. We're in line. If you go to the next slide, you'll see that we're pretty much in line with our neighbors. And so also we had to do some repairs to the existing footprint of the house because the structure wasn't that stable. If we could just move to the next slide where you see the floor plan. So that's the additional footprint that we're adding. So that's the existing floor plan. That green section is what we're adding. And then we're building on top of it. And as we go up in level, we're staggering the floor back into away from the backyard. We go to variance number 3 with the exterior stairs. You'll see that the stairs that we're proposing are in line with the existing wall. So we're not encroaching or creating a smaller setback for the side. We're just building right in line with the existing wall that has been there for many years. The stair also helps with fire exit or fire escape for the 2nd and 3rd floor. If we can go to the next slide where it says variance 4. The platform encroachment is an existing encroachment. We just want to rebuild it because, again, our engineers say that it's not stable. It was structurally made with wood and the wood is deteriorated. So we want to just repair it and make it stable and safe. We can go to variance number 5. You see the auxiliary building that we're proposing today is not a building. It's actually just 2 posts and it's a roll-up garage door that we're putting on top of those 2 posts. So that's how it's going to look from the back, from the laneway, but there'll be no massing at all. Like I said, it's going to be sitting on 2 6x6 posts and then a metal door that gets rolled up. The next slide is a detail of the metal door, or the garage door, sorry, that it's acting as a roll-up door. We can go to variance number 6. So the dormer that we have today in front of us is actually a dormer that's already built, and we have a building permit for this dormer. I was able to talk to Heritage about this situation because she didn't. Erin Smith did not know from Heritage, did not know that we had a building permit for this dormer already, but she sent in a letter not knowing that we had a permit for altering some of the windows, the doors, and adding this dormer. And the zoning examiner did say that he wanted this variance to be covered under our application for a future permit that we want to apply for. In regards to the neighbor's concerns, we did talk to the neighbor. We've had many conversations with the neighbor at 54.
Mr. Ramirez, you're over 5 minutes. Can you wrap up, please?
Sure.
Maybe
So,
you can address that after you hear from the opposition also.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's not a problem.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks. Okay, do you have Mr. Cantor on the line? Yeah. Hi, Mr. Cantor, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can. Can you please identify yourself for the record? And once you've done that, we'll reset the clock. You have 5 minutes.
Yes, I can. Thank you very much. Madam Chair, members of the committee, my name is Ron Cantor. I am counsel for Marion Steele. She is the owner of 54 Wales Ave. And could I ask the staff to put up the location map, the Committee of Adjustment location map, please? Thank you. So as you can see, my client is located immediately next and to the west or the left of the site. And I don't know if you can see it here, but She shares a party wall, and to the rear of the building, there is a very narrow L-shaped void which provides daylight for her building. Both 52 and 54 are narrow lots. Each is 5.52 meters, 18 feet wide. The existing western walls of 52 encroach on my client's property in 3 locations. I'm going to refer to that later. We share a party wall with 52. We are the property most affected by the variances requested by the applicant. And when I say most affected, I would say we are most affected by the increase in FSI to 1.4, the green area shown by Mr. Ramirez previously, together with the flat roof. It will reduce the daylight, particularly to the windows in the second floor of my client's house. However, despite the impact, the negative impact of the variances, as Mr. Ramirez stated, there have been a lot of discussions between myself and Mr. Ramirez and our respective clients about the party wall and privacy fences. And as a result of these discussions, we are requesting conditions in 2 areas. Firstly, with respect to privacy fences, we are requesting 4 privacy fences, 1.8 meters high along the westerly edge of the porches, balconies, and terraces at 52 because of the very tight living situation. We are requesting privacy fences at the front on the first floor porch and second floor balcony, and that's A03 and A04 in the plans submitted. And we are requesting privacy fences at the rear, the second story balcony at the rear, the second story terrace at the rear on the 3rd floor. And my understanding is that Mr. Ramirez has agreed, his clients have agreed to all of those privacy fences. And I understand that they've also agreed to privacy fences at the front. And I note that such privacy screens are found in the front of other houses in the neighborhood, such as between 54 and 56. If you look at the sign posting photo on page 2, you'll see a similar privacy fence on a first floor porch. So that I would suggest if you just moved a little to the right of that on that one. I can't see it. I've got something blocking my full view of the picture there, but there is a privacy fence shown. If you move a little to the left, I think it is. There is a privacy fence. I can't see it there, but I'm just suggesting that they are characteristic of the street. Secondly, with respect to conditions, I am asking your committee add the condition that the alterations be substantially in compliance with the plans prepared by J.R. Home Designer, received by the committee on October 26th, 2021. And I understand, my experience, this condition is commonly adopted by the committee. It's particularly important in this case. It's important because it shows that the new construction will eliminate 2 of the 3 existing locations where 52 encroaches on 54. Quite frankly, my client would like to have had the existing encroachment, the 3rd existing encroachment, eliminated as well. We were not able to achieve that, but we were very concerned that the 2 locations where new construction is going to occur, that the encroachment be eliminated. If the committee adopts the conditions set out above with respect to privacy fences and also with respect to construction in compliance with the plans, my client's concerns will be mitigated. We will no longer oppose the variances, providing the Committee of Adjustment adopts the conditions I proposed. And also we are asking the applicant to enter a party wall agreement with my client. That's a private matter, not before the committee. However, we are asking the committee to please adopt the conditions with respect to 4 privacy fences and construction in compliance with the substantial compliance with the plans as submitted. Those are my submissions, Madam Chair, subject to any questions.
I just have a quick question. You mentioned 1.8 meters. The committee generally uses 1.5 as a standard for privacy.
We're in your hands with respect to height.
Okay.
We would like them to be as high as permitted by the city, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Panel members, any questions of the speaker? Okay, seeing none, thank you, Mr. Cantor. Miss Alexandra?
Hello,
Hi, can you identify yourself, please, name and address for the record, and then you'll have 5 minutes.
my name is Lesha Alexandra, and I live at 3 Leonard Place, which is right behind 52 Wales. My main concern is that the laneway is 2.45 meters wide, and the proposed garage door is going to be on their lot line, which actually causes a bit of a hazard if there are wider cars going through the laneway. I have a gas meter pretty much right across from the edge of their property, so that if there's a blockage, like if there's a big post there, which there is proposed, my concern is that that's going to get run over. My other concern is that the main entrance for the tenants on the 2nd and 3rd floor is through that garage door. And it seems awkward to always have to open and close a noisy garage door to get outside. Traditionally, the laneway has not been an access for a main access for any tenants on Wales Avenue. There are only 3 houses on Leonard Place, and the distance from my house to the garage door, well, their property, is actually 2.45 meters, which is 8 feet. That's it for me.
Okay. Panel members, do you have any questions of the speaker? Okay, thank you, Miss Alexandra. Mr. Ramirez, can you please speak to the issues that were raised, and you'll have 5 minutes. We'll restart the clock.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the time. If we can just go back to my slide, I can show you better with the imaging that we've proposed. So it's on page 14, I think. You got to keep going down to where it says neighbors' concerns. Neighbors' privacy concerns. A little more. And right there. So yeah, we did have concerns with shadowing, and there was a window that when we were talking to the neighbor, there was a window that she was concerned about, and then there was of course concerns about privacy. So that's why I put up this image. If you go to the next image, you'll see the next slide. You'll see this is a rendering right from the backyard, right from the deck from the neighbor, and you can see the privacy fences there. There's no visible view to the windows or to the actual unit itself. So there would be complete privacy on this side. If we go down to the next image, you'll see the window that we were concerned about and the neighbor was concerned about is actually on the main floor. As you can see on the right, the window is closer to the ground. It's not on the 2nd floor. So there's already minimal light going there already, and the addition will create a small difference. So just wanted to bring that up. But we did talk to the neighbors about this. We've come to an agreement, and that's why we're working with them on a party wall agreement. So in regards to the neighbor to the back, we are asking for, I mentioned, we are asking for a side yard setback. So the post that the mechanical roll-up door that we're proposing is sitting on 2 6x6 posts that are on the sides, and the variance that we're asking for is side yard setback. It's not from the rear yard. So again, this is gonna help with parking a car there and creating some privacy for my client's backyard. And right now, currently there are cars parked there. You could drive a car there and park a car there at this point, and there has been cars parking there ever since. Now, I just wanted to clarify, there is, just before I finish, there is just one minor thing before we tie the plans to any decisions you make today. There is one item that I want to correct, and that's on A08, and that's in regards to the 2nd floor height. It says it's 8'3", but if you see on A09, it's actually 9 feet. So there's a minor change there that I wanted to just, if we're going to tie any decisions to this plan, I want to make sure we correct this this height. It doesn't cause any new variances at all, but I just want to make sure that right there on A03, A08, you'll see on the second floor, it says they're 8'3" on the right-hand side. And then, yeah, on the next plan, you'll see that it does say 9 feet. The zoning examiner is aware of this, and there is no other variances that we would need if we raise that to 9 feet. And also the owners at 54 Wales is aware of this as well. And that would be all for me.
Okay, thank you. Panel members, Mr. Salomon.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask the applicant if he had any concerns with the neighbor's request to require privacy fences on 4, I believe it's 4 balconies or decks.
Yeah, we don't have a concern. I think the only concern I might have, or Heritage might have, I know we're not designated under Heritage, but anything at the front, I believe, because I talked to Erin Smith from Heritage, she said anything at the front, they would like to have a say in it. And if we're gonna add a privacy fence at the front, I guess I would want to make sure that Heritage is okay with that.
I just want to defer to staff for 1 second. The Heritage report in the SUP, to me, that's a recommendation. Is that a condition though? Because it says we strongly encourage the applicant to engage with Heritage. So that's more of it's not a condition, is it?
Through you, Madam Chair, no, it's more of a note.
Right, so to the applicant, the Heritage, report we have is not an actual condition. It's asking you to strongly, be encouraged to engage with them as you continue to move forward, should this be approved. Okay.
Okay, so
So go ahead.
yeah, so definitely we don't have, if there's no concerns with Heritage, then we don't mind the privacy fence at the front and the 2 at the back.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, panel members, I think we're ready to go into committee. Ms. Chan.
Oh, I just want to follow that point about the privacy screen at the front. Maybe if we're going to put a condition, we can also put a condition that as long as it's agreed by Heritage regarding the front privacy screen.
Sure.
Okay.
Any other comments? Mr. Reed?
Thanks, Chair. I think this is a very sensitive application, and I want to just commend the applicant on the materials that they provided. I think it made it very easy to understand what was being proposed, and those were clear. I think with the conditions that we've talked about, I think this is highly supportable. So I'd like to move for approval of the amended application. That's with the removal of variance number 4. Subject to privacy screening on the east and west side in the rear on both levels, and in the front, privacy screening subject to approval of Heritage. And I think that the neighbors' note about having the plans approved is substantially in accordance. I think that makes sense in terms of the building not overlapping onto the neighboring property as well. So I guess that would be site plan and the elevations.
Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, do we tie it to site plans and elevations?
Through Madam Chair, yes, you can.
And then the amendment to A08, do we have to note that to the 9 feet?
Yes.
And also, I believe there's forestry condition 1. I don't think you mentioned it.
Yes,
Yeah?
I didn't mention that.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, I have a question, Peter.
Yeah.
You mentioned the private screen on both east and west edges. but I haven't heard anything mentioned about the east side. I thought that they just want to depend on the staff recommendation.
Yeah, I was just thinking if it was appropriate on one side, it would be appropriate on both. But
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure because we haven't talked about the east side.
yeah, I don't, it makes sense to me, but if you have an issue, we can talk about it.
No, I
Yeah.
just yeah, I haven't heard about that. No, I'm fine.
And-
Okay, thanks.
Did you mention, Mr. Reed, did you mention the height? Are we going with 1.5?
Sorry, yeah, I didn't mention the height, but yeah, I prefer 1.5.
Okay.
Just height, please.
Okay, so that's motion then, is to have screening on the east and west sides for the porch, the second floor balcony, third floor balcony. I believe that Mr. Cantor mentions drawings A03 and A04. And on the terrace, forestry number 1, and to have discussion with the Heritage Department with respect to the third floor and second floor ones in the front. Did I get that right?
Makes sense to me.
Okay, and then also the removal variance 4 and amending drawing A08 to read 9 feet to match drawing A09. Okay, so that motion is moved by Mr. Reed. Do I have a seconder? Okay, Mr. Salomon. Okay, all in favor? Okay, so that motion carries unanimously. Thank you. The next item is item number 3, 143 Gillard Avenue. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, a covering letter from Mr. Riley, the agent, a tree plan from Red Studio Architects. We have 6 form letters in support, which includes the adjacent neighbor at number 141. And I only show somebody observing, so do I have the agent on the line?
Yes, Raymond Jemba from SGL Planning and Design. We're located at 1547 Bloor Street. I'm representing the owners.
Okay, good morning. I don't think we need a presentation. Panel members, does anybody have any questions? Mr. Salomon.
My question was, is there already an existing basement walkout at the rear? And if so, why is there a need for a new one at the front?
So yes, there is a basement secondary, there's an existing basement secondary suite, and there's an entrance at the rear. The intent to move it to the front is really to provide privacy for the amenity space at the rear, and the staircases, mainly that's the intent, is to provide more privacy for the rear and to bring that entrance to the front.
Does that
Thank
answer
you.
your question? Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
Anyone else? Okay, Mr. Zimba, I think we're ready to go into committee. Anything you want to add that the committee needs to know?
Nope, I have nothing additional to add.
Okay, thank you. Panel members, we're in committee. Mr. Salomon.
Yeah, I think the variances are minor in nature and appropriate, and I would move approval of the requested variances with no conditions.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Mr. Reed. So a motion to approve moved by Mr. Salomon, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor? The application's been unanimously approved. Thank you. Item number 4, 1596 Dundas Street West. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have communication from transportation as well as planning, and okay, they were originally okay, but let me just check because there was a report that came in the supplemental agenda. Just give me a second here. Okay, so they're asking for clarification regarding the proposed cantilever with the setback as per variance number 2. The applicant is to clarify the current and future servicing, loading vehicle types accessing the subject site and the adjoining property at 1594 to allow vertical clearances of less than 4 meters. Okay, and we have form letters in support from 1597 as well as 1600 Dundas Street West. Opposition from 1600 and 1594, as well as 23 Atkins and 21 Atkins Avenue. I am showing 3 speakers listed here. Okay, do I have the agent on the line?
Madam Chair, there's actually 4 speakers registered in opposition.
Okay.
They're all present.
Okay, so Mr. Brander, are you there?
Good morning, Madam Chair and committee
morning.
members. My name is Adam Brander and my address is 49 Bolton in Toronto. I am the agent and the architect for the proposal at 1596 Dundas Street West.
Okay, before I ask you to do a presentation, are you aware of the transportation report?
Yes, Madam Chair, we provided in the supplemental information clarifications as requested.
Okay, all right, so we'll give you 5 minutes starting now, and then we'll go to the opposition.
Thank you. This proposal is about adding density in the form of apartment dwellings along Dundas Street West on a stretch that is zoned commercial residential to support additional residents served by local amenities and local transit. A strong proponent of the official plan. The proposal's low-rise massing is so fitting of the bylaw that there are no height, main wall, angular plane, or density variances to speak of, as one might commonly expect. And so the primary clauses of the bylaw are all respectfully maintained. I'm here to request relief for 3 total variances. 1 variance is for an existing condition at the rear of the site, prescribing a 1.5 meter wide strip of soft landscaping. As a private easement exists in this location, it shall be maintained as hardscape as required. Another variance is for 1 parking space deficiency. These lots are scaled to accommodate parking spaces as permits across the width of the lot. And so again, the private easement on the site reduces the parking space capacity by 1 space. And Transportation Services has no concerns in their correspondences. The third and final variance looks at windows or openings on a sidewall. This variance is exercised respectfully in a way that principal views and main daylighting for residential units are confined to the front and rear elevation, while only secondary spaces like bedrooms have modest light requirements and smaller windows along the west wall. These windows allow bedrooms to meet lighting requirements, and their size and setback from the property line are suitable for building and fire codes. This aspect was pre-circulated to planning to ensure they were supportive of this approach from a planning perspective, and they are. The rear angular plane variance was removed entirely by scaling back the rear to be respectful of the neighbors. And if we could bring up the explanation material for in response to transportation. The application technician said it was in the late folder, as this came yesterday from transportation. So yeah, a note from transportation did pop up indicating to clarify the use of the easement. If we can get the support material up, it would be much appreciated. For the current use, it's for personal motor vehicle access to the existing rear garage at 1596, as well as pedestrian access to the existing dwellings behind the commercial unit. The 1594 property use would be characterized as low. As you can see in this overhead image, there's overgrowth that can be seen in the maps view. But there is space for a few standard motor vehicles. If we refer to the photo on the right, there's no commercial loading though. If we can flip to slide 2, proposed is to be maintained as is. This was vetted at city staff through the zoning review process, and consequently no loading or dimensional variances are before the committee today. Height requirements exceed those applicable to driveway, drive aisles, and parking spaces. These are 2 meters in height, where the clear here is over 3 meters. This is also a height dimension that even accommodates a small U-Haul vehicle, truck, or service vehicle as well, as the diagram shows there. We did want to unpack this item a little further for greater assurance. If you could go to page 3. The easement is only 2.7 meters wide. So even if there was an interest to bring commercial loading to the site, the 4-meter commercial loading height dimension expressed also requires 3.5 and 4 meters in width to accommodate those vehicles, which is not available. Further, as a one-way access, there's no front-in, front-out loading requirement that could be met. We also overlaid what a loading vehicle would look like on the site to show how drastically out of scale this is, and it can't fit on the site, not even close. That's the red line outlined on the left. We even look quickly at if either of these two sites, 1594 or 1596, could hold a loading requirement. And zoning shows that 31 residential units is where loading requirements begin, which would be a gross overdevelopment of either of these sites. And for commercial use, only above 500 square meters of space needs loading, which is if the entire site was covered with commercial space, it wouldn't even come close to this minimum. So this is to affirm and emphasize there's no existing or potential commercial loading access, and this existing easement is for pedestrian and typical vehicle use only. And so with such modest and minor variances in number and nature, no concerns from planning, and given the application's support for the OP and bylaw, it's felt that this proposal meets the 4 tests. And these are my initial submissions in support.
Mr. Brander, I should have done this at the beginning, but I need you to formally amend your application because I need you, so you're removing variance number 3, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right, do I have Joanne Todd on the line?
Well,
Hi.
where? Okay.
Hi, can you identify yourself, please, name and address for the record? And
So where's
once
that
you-
house on here?
I'm sorry?
What house?
That house that I showed you on the,
No, it doesn't show it on the plan.
that's what I mean.
Hello?
So it should be here, right?
Hello?
No, the house should be right there. It's just, that's a straight line. This is
No, but-
jagged.
But
Hello.
no, but
Miss
Hello, Miss
Todd.
Todd. Miss Todd,
No.
are you there?
yes, I am, but I'm not presenting.
So, okay, you're not speaking then?
No, I'm not speaking. I'm here as an interested, critical bystander.
Okey doke, thank you. Okay, we'll go to Naomi Campbell.
Hello?
Hi, are you speaking?
Yes.
Okay, can you
Hi.
state your name and address for the record, and then you'll have 5 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Naomi Campbell. I live at 23 Atkins Avenue, which is the property directly behind 1596 Dundas. And in fact, the alley is, I can see it straight out my back window. So their northern edge abuts my southern edge of the property. First of all, I just do want to, I'm not obviously a developer or anything, but this feels like it's not an alteration or a renovation when all that is left of the previous building is the shared wall on the east side and the basement. They are in fact building a brand new 4-story building, which will be the first 4-story building on the block. Parking is very tight in this neighborhood. People, there are not enough parking spots as it is. And so by cutting a required parking spot, that will add stress on already insufficient capacity. I believe that the building is wider than it should be for its footprint. On the 2nd and 3rd floors, as we have just discussed, it overhangs the alley. Those windows that were described will be 1.2 meters away from a brick wall. So maybe in terms of the enjoyment of a bedroom window, that seems a bit of a stretch to me. I think the most important thing, I don't have any new drawings to respond to about how they've adjusted the request about the angular plane calculation, but the drawings, and if you look at the document page A13, you'll see that the whole thing has been drawn as if it's on a flat surface, when in fact this building is on a hill. There is the 1.2 meter change in grade from Dundas Street to the back of the property, and then there is a plunge down to my property of another 1.7 meters, which means that there's a total of 2.3 meters from Dundas Street to my property. When it rains hard, there is a small river that runs down that driveway. And I spent a great deal of money on a retaining wall 2 years ago that has quite sophisticated drainage involved in it in order to deal with this. And I have concerns that this has not been taken into account at all. And by removing softscaping at the back, there will be no place for any of this water, which can be substantial, as you know, in Toronto storms, at the end of that property. So if it just is, if it becomes a piece of pavement right next to my own wall, then it's going to damage my retaining wall, and it's also just going to create a small pond at the back of their property. I would also just like to note that there are only form letters from the supporters. They haven't provided any kind of "this is a great idea" sort of text, which just indicates to me that it is a form letter that people sometimes sign under duress. I don't know. And also that this is a big construction site in one of the most busiest commercial blocks in this part of Dundas. At the end of the pandemic, when the various businesses, patios, restaurants will be trying to recover. And I think that is something to take into account. This block has a lot of activity, and to put a big construction site into the middle of it anytime in the next few years is going to compromise the enjoyment of the commercial life on the block. I also just do want to take some offense to a building that includes a 362 square foot apartment as considered to be a pleasant addition to the density of the neighborhood. But just to reiterate, my most significant thing is I think the fact that there is no understanding of the fact that this building is on a grade, and what the implications of that are is something that I would really like to see addressed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions of the speaker panel members? Seeing none, thank you very much, Ms. Campbell. Ms. Ast.
Hi there, good morning. My name is Natalie Ast from Overland LLP, and I'm here on behalf of Laser Investment Properties, Inc. They are the owner of 5094 Dundas Street West, which is the directly adjacent neighbor to the east and adjoining via a party wall. If it's possible for you to please pull up the letter of opposition, it was in the late file. Thank you. So proposed variance number 2 for reduced side yard setback impinges on my client's vehicular access rights to an existing easement. The proposal's design also creates impacts on the adjoining party wall that could be avoided with a more well-considered design that does not include constructing on top of that party wall and causing potential structural and mechanical issues. My client also submitted a letter dated February 1st outlining their concerns. The proposed variances do not satisfy the 4 tests under the Planning Act, would be out of character with the surrounding area, and we submit that the Committee of Adjustment should refuse this application, absent revised plans and technical study that addresses these concerns. So on page 2 of the letter of objection, this is an annotated survey of my client's property at 5094 Dundas Street West, which is shown in orange, and the portions in light blue and dark blue are the applicant's property, with the darker blue portion labeled as the right-of-way. I'd ask that you please turn to page 3 of this presentation. So here we have the front south elevation with an arrow marking the point where the proposal cantilevers over the access driveway. Now, my client has concerns with this proposal in that the variance for a 1.2 meter setback from the west lot line at the second story creates a cantilever that is approximately 3.5 meters in height and would greatly restrict access for larger service and delivery vehicles who might come in and back out. And I note that a staff report was submitted by Transportation Services to this issue. The report notes that the cantilevered structure is shown at approximately 3.5 meters, which is less than the typical 4.0 meters required to provide functional access for loading and servicing vehicles, and they have noted some of those vehicles there in that report. My client has advised that current vehicles accessing the right-of-way include contractor trucks such as cargo vans with roof racks and delivery vehicles. It's important to note that my client also wants to ensure that the proposal would not limit future uses for private front-loading waste management service vehicles, which the city might require a turnaround with a Type B loading space, but private waste management can come in and reverse back out. Variance number 2 should be refused as it infringes my client's access rights to their property and also limits potential future access. I'd ask the committee please turn to page 4 of the presentation. I have circled in red the existing party wall on the second floor level. Now this is noted as an existing to remain, and this is the party wall shared with my client at 1594 Dundas Street West. My client has concerns with the proposal building directly on top of the party wall with an additional 2 stories on top, absent a party wall agreement and absent more technical study on the structural impacts of this construction. Additionally, my client has concerns with snow shadow from the proposed 4-story building. While we understand that these are construction matters typically dealt with at the building permit stage, the committee needs to consider the adverse impacts this proposal may have on my client's property and the structural stability of the building. I'd ask that you please turn to page 5 of the presentation. This is a photo of my client's roof and was taken this summer prior to a roof replacement facing north. The party wall, as you can see, contains 2 chimneys, including the one pictured, and we do not know the implications of the proposal being constructed on the party wall and their effects on the chimneys and exhaust that need to be addressed by the applicant. We know that the plans in general are existing now in isolation and do not consider the context of the adjoining property, in addition to lacking some of these technical details. Absent this technical information from the applicant to demonstrate that there would be no impacts on the party wall, the proposal should not be approved in its current form. This proposal is a departure from the surrounding neighborhood and seeks to maximize its building footprint with a configuration that both constructs directly on the party wall and cantilevers over an existing right-of-way. The city's official plan requires that development in mixed-use areas provide good site access and circulation. Though the variances may be numerically small, they have to be assessed in their totality and need to meet the general intent of the zoning bylaw. The performance standards of the zoning bylaw are also meant to achieve consistency, predictability, and property-to-property relationships. The proposed development and the requested variances do not satisfy the general intent and purpose of the official plan and the zoning bylaw. They are not minor as they give rise to adverse impacts on the adjoining property, and they are not desirable nor appropriate for the development of the subject property. We respectfully submit that the committee should refuse this application in its current form. Thank you.
Thank you. Panel members, do you have any questions of the speaker? Seeing none, thank you, Ms. Ast. You said there's one more speaker?
Ms. Fina, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you please provide me with your name, your full name and address?
My name is Lisa Fina, and I'm the business owner at 1594 Dundas Street West. So my landlord is Laser Investment Properties.
Okay.
Basically,
sorry. Can you just spell your last name, just because we don't have you registered? So, is it
Fina?
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Thank you. So I'm a business owner, obviously, at the property that shares the party wall with 1596. So I own a business there. I've been there for 7 years, and my lease extends for another 7.5 years. I'm in complete 100% support of everything that Naomi Campbell said previously, so I don't need to go into that. Basically, she said everything I wanted to say. But I have concerns about the right-of-way on the west side, which is the entrance to my parking for myself and my clientele. So I have issues with the cantilever. I have issues with the construction of this development, which is not minor in nature. As well, my business has suffered dramatically through 2 closures due to the current pandemic. I'm very worried about the future of my business. I'm worried about the integrity of the building and whether or not it can if it can support this type of construction. I'm worried about the noise. I'm worried about the dirt. I own a boutique hair salon. I also live in the area and have since 1971. And so I don't believe that the building is in accordance with the, you know, the feel and the look of the neighborhood. As far as my business goes, I'll get back to that, and I'll be as brief as possible. I'm worried about the future of my business at this address in consideration of the amount of construction that this structure would entail. I'm worried about loss of business. I'm worried about noise. I'm worried about access for my clientele. So I'm opposed.
Okay, thank you. Panel member.
Thank you.
Hang on, I think Mr. Salomon has a question for you.
Most certainly.
Yeah, I'd like to know what kind of vehicles currently use that driveway right of way for access.
Currently, it's just my own vehicle, which is a station wagon, or vehicles, SUV vehicles for my clientele. I don't have any construction vehicles that need that right of way at the current time, nor have I in the past. I did when I originally built my business, but it's been there for a long time now, 7.5 years.
So in those 7.5 years, are you aware of any, trucks or high vehicles that have been using this driveway access?
Yeah, they have to have done work on the building in the past, but that would have been in conjunction with something that my landlord at that time would have ordered to have done. That had nothing to do with my particular business. That's just my right of way for my own parking as provided in my lease.
Thank you.
Any further questions for the speaker? Okay, thank you. Mr. Brander?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Hi, okay. We're going to restart the clock, so I'll give you 5 minutes to address the concerns raised.
Okay. Thank you. If we could bring up the support material package, we had a few photo references there to include that just bring context to some of the developments in the area and how the proposal fits.
It's in, I think, in the supplemental. It's in the supplemental, I think. The covering letter, is that what you're referencing?
No, there's
submission?
a late submission package.
Yeah. So what do you want up? The plans that you?
Oh no, the photographs that
the
were
photograph.
uploaded as well.
Okay.
It's not in this package, but yeah. So I guess going back to the first speaker, there's examples of 6- and 8-story mid-rise in this area. It's an area that supports this kind of development. There's a mid-rise development guideline that's even been created to further these types of intensifications. While those developments are a lot taller and more substantial, this is just maintained as a low-rise development, actually 3 stories in building height with a bit of a mezzanine, so it is really modest in scale. The mix of units in the building is a desirable asset when looking at affordability and mix of housing types. It's understood that there's concerns at the party wall with respect to structural concerns and not being in favor of constructing on the party wall. So engineering will be done in this instance to maintain the structure fully contained on the subject property and not impact the party wall from a structural perspective. This zoning permits for 0 setback, so that was the intent along the east wall to maintain a 0 setback, but at a recessed structural condition. And it's felt that the submission package in response to the loading access successfully articulates the difference between big box commercial loading and just common access as this site has had and will continue to have moving forward in the future. And for things like drainage and things like that, the new addition to this building will help mitigate that with design that's put in at the building permit phase should this application move forward. These are my submissions.
Okay. Ms. Chan has a question for you.
Yes, I have a question. I noticed the building immediate to the west is already it's a 3-story plus quite a high parapet. I just like to know your proposed building in terms of the height in relation to the building to the west. Is it more or less the same, or you're a little higher or lower? You know, there's apartment buildings, right, or mixed-use building immediate to the west. Yes, that one, yes.
Through you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I believe it's comparable in scale with respect to the parapet.
I assume so, yeah. Because I just saw Google the street scenes there. That's actually quite. It's a 3.5 story high already currently. Yeah, I just want to confirm that with you.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Mr. Reed.
Thanks. To the applicant, I understand the kind of parking analysis you've done with regards to the right-of-way, and that makes sense to me. But can you talk about what does the right-of-way agreement say in terms of does it talk about height that must be maintained open, or just that vehicular travel must be maintained?
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. The right-of-way agreement just indicates that pedestrian and vehicular access be maintained as its use. Doesn't go into any further detail.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions, panel members? Mr. Solomon.
So did the applicant receive any further comments from Transportation Services about the types of vehicles?
Mr. Brander?
No. Through you, Madam Chair, there was no further communication from them indicating types of vehicles, but we're familiar with the types of vehicles for loading and when they're required. And that was all vetted with the zoning examiner at City of Toronto through the zoning review process last summer.
Thank you.
Any further questions, panel members? Okay, let's take it into committee. Ms. Chan.
Yes, I have a couple of things. I think that this proposal is actually very, very well done. And I think it's a very typical infill project, and the intensification is in line in the area, and the current the existing driveways, the limitation is width, which is existing, and I do not think that the overhang will actually make it worse. And I'm actually quite happy with the adding residential units on this busy street, and I'm in support of it. With the transportation condition, I would suggest to move for approval.
Okay, is that a motion? Does anybody else have anything to add? Okay, Ms. Chan, is that a motion then?
Yes, I will turn it into a motion with the transportation condition for approval. And I do not see that. Oh, it's amended because it deleted variance 3. Yeah.
Okay, so Ms. Chen and seconded by Mr. Reed. So the motion is the.
I just had a question for Ms. Chen. Sorry, I think the condition or the comments from transportation weren't exactly clear. I think they were looking for clarification, and I think that the applicant has responded to that. So I would be concerned about adding the transportation condition. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly, because I think the information given by the applicant is more updated.
Yeah,
and I think
agreed.
the transportation was said at like the intermediate report. So yeah, I agree. I'm not. Yeah, okay, I can delete that condition. They already been in communication with transportation anyway.
Thanks, Ian.
Were you planning to second though, before I go any further, Mr. Reed?
Yes, please.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the application as amended with the removal of variance number 3 for the angular plane, and we would be approving the revised plans that we got in the supplemental agenda last night with the covering letter from the applicant. Okay, so that's moved by Ms. Chan, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor? Okay, so that carries unanimously. Okay, the next item is item number 5. Just a second. Okay, 1245 DuPont Street. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have a covering letter from the agent. We have an updated covering letter from the agent, an arborist report, parking rationale submitted by the applicant, consent of the City of Toronto as the owner of the property, known as part of 1260 Dufferin Street. They authorized the submission of this application to C of A. We have a supporting map that illustrates parking, and we have a planning report asking for a condition. Okay.
Through you, Madam Chair, sorry, I just want to bring to your attention that staff received an email about an hour ago from community planning staff requesting an adjustment to condition number 1 in their planning report. So right now it reads prior to the issuance of the first above grade building permit. What they're requesting is that it reads prior to the issuance of the second above grade building permit for block 6.
Okay, so that's the first part, right?
That would be the first condition.
The second above grade building permit for the development of block 6?
That's correct.
Okay. So that's in the first condition, okay. All right, and I don't have any opposition speakers, so do I have the agent on the line?
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair. My name is Melanie Hare. I'm a partner and urban planner with Urban Strategies, and I'm acting on behalf of the 2470347, the applicant, Ontario Inc., the applicant.
Okay, thank you. Panel members, do you need a presentation, or can we go to questions? Okay, any questions, panel members? Seeing none? Okay, Ms. Hare, we have no questions. We've read all the materials. Is there anything you want to add before we take it into committee for a decision?
Thank you, Madam Chair. If I could just clarify for committee members, having reviewed we have had appreciate the working relationship with city staff and the councillor's office related to the voluntary cash contribution. The request to amend the condition 1 to be issued not at this first above grade building permit, but the second has got to do with the phasing of the project, which is ongoing. We have a site plan approval applications in for 2 of the blocks, block 5 and block 2 already, and we're very close to getting the approval for site plan, we believe, for or the NOAC issuance for block 5. So the concern or the request for committee to consider an amendment to that recommendation from staff has to do with just the timing. We expect to obtain the first grade permit for block 5 shortly, but client and the owner will not have funding in place to satisfy this condition. It's critical that we obtain the above grade permit because the actual parking levels have been constructed already on that block 5, and we'd like to be able to keep going. We expect the block 6 above grade permit to be pulled in May of this year, and therefore we're just looking forward to continuing the construction of this project. The first phase, block 5, is the first mixed-use development block plus the affordable housing proponent. Block 6 is the community center and the new community center construction. So hopefully that is just clarifies. We did have a presentation to provide clarification, but we appreciate the committee's not needing to see that, but did want to provide that provision. And then secondly, the request is for variance of only the residential parking and does not apply to the visitors parking, commercial parking, or affordable housing parking requirements. So just to be clear on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, panel members, let's take it into committee for a decision. Mr. Reid.
Thanks, Chair. I think this is a very reasonable request, particularly with the Section 45 agreement that is associated with it. I don't have concerns. I think the transportation report answered any questions well, and I think this is just the evolution of a project as it gets built. So I'd like to move approval of this, subject to the amended conditions put forward by planning.
Okay, so motion to approve, including the amendment to the first condition in the planning report. That was amended to the second above grade building permit for block 6. And do I have a seconder? That's moved by Mr. Reid, seconded by Ms. Chan. All in favor? Okay, that's been approved unanimously. Thank you. Item number 6, 120 CEDARCREST Boulevard. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 2 photographs of the subject property. Forestry is asking for condition number 2. And I believe planning had a condition in the supplemental agenda. Yeah, they're asking for conditions. Perhaps staff can put that up on the screen. And in the supplemental, we also had additional correspondence in support from 110 CEDARCREST. We have in the regular agenda 25 form letters in support from residents on CEDARCREST Boulevard, including 118, which is adjacent, and owners of 45, 47, 49 Plaxton, as well as a lot of owners on Glen Crest and 43 Paxton. Okay, I don't show, actually I do have, do we have the opposition speaker on the line?
Madam Chair, there is one registered speaker
Okay,
in opposition.
can I just, could you put her through? I just want to see if she wants to speak or if she's listening.
Ms. Bowers, you've been unmuted.
Hi, Ms. Bowers, are you there?
Ms. Bowers, can you hear us?
Can you maybe try her in the meantime? I'll go to the agent and I'll see if the members have questions. Okay, Mr. D'Oliveira, are you there?
Hi, yes, I'm here. Good morning, committee.
Hi.
My name's
Just identify yourself for the record, and then I'll see if the members have any questions. In the meantime, we'll see if this speaker is only, or if we can get her on the line to see if she wanted to speak or if she's just listening in.
Sure. So my name is Mike D'Oliveira. I'm here representing 120 CEDARCREST Boulevard, and I'm with Replacement Design, located at 911 Davenport Road.
Okay, panel members, do you have any questions for Mr. Mr. Solomon? Go ahead.
Are there any changes to the proposed variances and any deletions of variances?
Yes, we've had extensive communications with Sean from Community Planning, And in those discussions, we've removed the variance required for soft landscaping. That is item number 3, and we've improved on many of the other variances. If you want, I can go through the list now.
Well, I guess I'd like to know exactly what variances are before the committee.
Yes, so going in order from the public notice, item number 1 remains the same. That's related to the second floor addition on the existing 1-story bungalow. Item number 2, we have a coverage proposed of 43%. That's actually changing to 37%. And this is a combination of the existing coverage of the home plus the new garage / existing shed that's kind of part of the garage at the same time. As I mentioned, item number 3 is being removed as we now comply with soft landscaping. Item number 4 relates to the height of the accessory structure or the detached garage. We've dropped that from 4.73 to 4.5 meters. Moving along here, item number 5, we've gone from 56.34 square meters to 46.91. That's again with discussions with community planning, we've reduced a bit of the size there. And that also changed our lot area covered by an accessory structure from 17% down to, here, just trying to find the number again. That brought it down to 14%.
Okay, before we go any further, can we just go back again? So variance number 2, it's going to 37%. What's the square meters?
So that's 125.34 square meters.
125.34 square meters. Then
Yep.
variance 3, you're removing.
Correct.
Okay, variance number 4, you're going to 4.5.
Correct.
Variance number 5, you're going to 46.91.
Correct.
Okay, and then variance number 6, you're going to 14%. So, what's the
That's
square
46.
meter? I'm sorry?
It's 46.91 square meters. And this is all per the new zoning notice we submitted about a week ago.
Okay. Panel members, do you have any other questions? And then I'll see if we've got the speaker. Have you been able to get the person on the line?
Madam Chair, the registered speaker only provided an email.
Okay. All right, so I guess we can't reach her.
Ms. Bowers, are you there? Ms. Bowers, you've been unmuted. Please unmute yourself.
Is she unmuting herself or muting herself? Ms. Bowers, are you there?
I've unmuted you.
Panel members, we're just on our final attempt to get this person on the line. Are there any other questions in the meantime? Anybody? No?
Madam Chair, we haven't received the response. I've sent an email to Ms. Bowers.
Okay, and there's been no response, so I can't. Okay, so, all right, so let's move forward with this. So we don't have any more questions, Mr. De Oliveira. We're unable, we've made a number of attempts to get Ms. Bowers on the line, and we have not been successful. Is there anything you want to add before we go into committee?
No, I believe our application is pretty straightforward. We have, as you can see, quite a few letters of support. There's 25 letters in total, including all the neighbors.
I can't make out a word you're saying, to be honest. I'm not sure if you're too far from the mic or what, but.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah,
a little bit
much.
more?
Oh yeah, 200% better.
All right, great. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I think our application is pretty straightforward. We have 25 letters of support. They're all from abutting neighbors that surround the property, both, as you mentioned, everyone at the rear, as well as to the sides and in front. So anyone who really has a direct view onto this property is in support of this application. It doesn't take long to look at our list to see that we essentially have the majority of the district here on board. We've tried to approach everyone within the 60 meters that would have received the public notice. We've had extensive conversations with planning, as I outlined before. We reduced numbers where possible to get planning on board with our application as well. So we've really tried to amend things as much as possible here to make sure this is something in the character of the neighborhood and with what people want to see. So I think we've done everything possible here to make this acceptable and indeed minor. If there's no other questions, then happy.
No, I think we don't have any questions, so we're going to take it into committee for a decision. So panel members, we're looking at the amended application with variance number 2 going to 37% at 125.34 square meters. Variance number 3 is removed. Variance number 4 goes to 4.5. Variance number 5 is 46.91, and variance number 6 is 14%, which is 46.91 square meters. This addresses the planning report, so it's no longer needed, and then there's forestry condition number 2. So, any comments? Mr. Reed and then Ms. Chan.
I was going to bring a motion. Yim, do you have any comments you want to say first?
I was going to do the same.
Okay. I think this is a good application. I think it really is respectful of what's happening in the area. There's a lot of houses that have had a second floor added. And this largely remains within the existing footprint. And I think as amended, it shows that the applicant has made efforts to work with city staff and address some of those concerns. So I would move approval of the amended application subject to urban forestry condition 2 and the community planning conditions as well.
Okay. Did you say the planning department conditions? So we don't need them, do we? If it's everything's been amended to match it.
Everything captured?
Through you, Madam Chair, I believe they're requesting you approve and tie to elevation plans as revised.
So we need to tie to elevation plans as revised.
Okay.
Okay, so with those did you get? Okay, so we've staff's got that noted. So with all those conditions and amendments, moved by Mr. Reed, seconded by Ms. Chan, all in favor? The application's been unanimously approved. Thank you. Item number 7. Yeah.
Excuse me, before we move to the next item, is it just me? I lost the video of the chair, Madam Chair.
Me too.
Me too.
Oh, okay.
We can still see the materials that are being shared by staff, but we can't see you, Chair.
Well,
But your audio is working fine, so.
yeah, if the audio is working, do you have to see me? If it's a long glitch, maybe we can move on without seeing me. How's that?
Is it
You're back now.
Oh, I'm back?
We can see you.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Okay, so item number 7 is 249 Lippincott Street. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, copy of the presentation materials. We have a staff report from planning. They're asking for a condition, and forestry's asking for condition number 1. Correspondence in support from number 237 Lippincott, and opposition from 264. And we received late yesterday a covering letter from Rosa Cremini, as well as correspondence from Mohammed Al-Shayban. Okay, do I have the agent on the line?
Yes, good morning. Do you hear me?
I can. Can you just identify yourself for the record?
Yeah, good morning, Madam Chair and committee member. My name is Alvar Roy, and I'm architect for 249 Lippincott.
Okay, can you bear with me a second? I just want to find out if if I have this speaker on the line, if they're just watching or if they want to speak.
Sure.
Madam Chair, I was unable to contact Mr. Stephen Chow by phone or email.
Okay. All right, so we don't have a speaker. We've not been able to get to reach this individual. Panel members, do you need a presentation, or can we go straight to questions? Anybody have any questions? No questions? Okay, I just have one, Mr. Roy, the operation of the patio. Like, are you gonna have, like, is it gonna be open till 11 at night, or?
That belongs to Pizza Gigi. Pizza Gigi is from here from 1973, and they never had a kind of patio or kind of activity. But we're suggesting that based on that area really need that kind of patio, as one of the supporters, two of supporters letters indicate that. The property is located on the corner of Lippincott and Harbor Street, and it's a very big property. Although it's the one just a number as a 249, but in the municipality address, it's contained at 4 address: 185, 187, 189 Harbor Street, and 249 the Lippincott. So we're suggesting that patio for the community and the neighboring, and as a supporting letter, you see the people on that area are very agreeable with that such a suggestion. And as a patio, not is a noisy one, because the Pizza Gigi only working for a couple hours, and they order just over the phone. But it would be a nice addition to the neighborhood if they want to use it in the future.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Ms. Chan?
Well, I'm just to clarify that your question is to ask whether the condition of use be put on patio.
Yeah, that was one of my thoughts, that we put a time on it, not up to 11 at night, so people aren't listening.
I really don't know. I can't talk about it, but probably we can put a condition on that not working till after midnight.
Yeah, so you wouldn't object to if the committee decides to put a condition on for hours?
No, not at all. After 12, no.
Okay.
Or with live music or something like that. No, probably. Our client.
Well, that would be up to the committee members to decide what we want to do with that.
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions for the applicant? Okay. Anything else you want to add, sir? We're going to take it into committee for decision.
Just if you take a look at this supporting material that descended of January 27. Yeah, that one. This is Pizza Gigi, and there is a another building. It's a part of 249 on the left side. Beside that, yes, that one. This is the burned. The restaurant is for a long, long time ago, and a lot of the homeless people every night they live there, and they are. My client has a lot of problem with them. Our suggestion is, as you take a look in the building, it's already is close to 9 meter, or 8 and something meter, close to 9 meter, 8.8 or 8.7. But if you see in the outline in the other picture, this is our new building that's we're suggesting. It's not that much height, it's not much the big mass. Just a little bit looking the more modern and more suit for the community. So, and the third picture is see the outline indicating that the addition to the building. And the fourth one, you can see that kind of two building on top of each other. And the third and the fifth, the photo, you see the proposal. And the patio, a little bit patio is the front of that area. So that's all I can show you. It's what's exactly going on that property with the addition of third floor on that burned property, second and third floor on that burned section, and the other floor on the existing one.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Welcome.
Panel members, we're ready to take it into committee. Ms. Chan, did you have your hand up? Go ahead.
I can start with comments. I know the area very well. I walk by it at least a few times a week. And I think that the proposed use and also the patio is actually getting more typical as you go west from that, east from that site. And I think that the proposal fits the use and the site. And I'm leaning towards putting some conditions on the use of the patio. So I'd like to get some comments from the other members to how we put these conditions on.
Well, go ahead, Mr. Reed.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the details of the use limitations, but I agree. I think it's a really good application that's bringing good and sensitive density to a main street. I'm hesitant to. I'd be hesitant to put anything kind of very restrictive on the patio, because I think it's a main street anyway, I think, and I understand there are houses right beside and right below it, but I think it functions already as a kind of busy commercial street.
I would still be inclined to put a condition at the very least for no loud music after 11. I mean, there is residential just around the corner. I don't think, I like the idea of a patio for sure, but if I live there, I don't know if I'd be too keen having music going and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mr. Solomon?
I'm wondering, are there city requirements for permits for outdoor patios, and is that where, if there is that where these kinds of restrictions or limitations might come in?
Through you, Madam Chair, there is the noise bylaw regulations.
But they enforce a noise bylaw. Right. I think if we put a condition, I don't know what the noise bylaw is. I thought it was 11, but I'm not 100% sure. But we've regularly put in conditions like this for patios. In fact, planning has often recommended it. So I'm surprised there isn't one here.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, we'll need a motion then. Ms. Chan.
Yes, I'd like to move for approval with the condition that the outdoor patio will not allow live music after midnight.
I would put
Any-
11 p.m., but
Okay, after 11 p.m.
just live music, or no, it could be speakers too, right? So no music outside
What
after 11.
amplify noise?
Sure.
Uh, yeah.
Sounds good. And then there's also the forestry one and the planning condition in the 28th of January report.
All right. Yes, thank you. First.
Okay, so you're moving that motion then, Ms. Chan?
Yes.
Who's seconding it? Mr. Reed? Okay, all in favor with those conditions? Okay, so your application's been unanimously approved. Thank you. Item number 8, 35 Turnberry Avenue. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have, I have one speaker listed here. Again, do you have them on the line?
Madam Chair, Ms. Susan Newman notified us that she cannot attend.
Okay, so we don't have any speakers other than the agent. Do I have the agent on the line?
Yes, Madam Chair. My name is Daniel Falzon. I am the agent on behalf of the owners of 35 Turnberry.
Okay. I don't think we need a presentation. Any members have any questions? Okay, sir, we don't have any questions. We're ready to go into committee. Is there anything you want to add that's not in the submissions?
Nope.
Okay, and you're aware of forestry condition number 2?
I am.
Okay. Alrighty, Mr. Solomon.
Yeah, I think there's only 2 variances, and I believe they are minor in nature, and so I would move approval of the variances subject to urban forestry condition number 2.
Okay, and who would like to second that? Anybody? Ms. Chan? Okay, so motion to approve, including the forestry condition, moved by Mr. Solomon, seconded by Ms. Chan. All in favor? Your application's been unanimously approved. Thank you. Item number 9, 274 O'Connor Drive. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have a condition from planning. We have forestry condition is asking for condition number 2. 6 form letters in support from 272, which is adjacent, as well as 270, 268, 266, 221, and 217 O'Connor Drive. I don't show any speakers in opposition. Do I have the agent on the line?
Yes, good morning. My name is Leo Mastandre. I'm the agent for the owners at 274 O'Connor.
Okay, good morning, sir. Panel members, I don't believe we need a presentation. Do any of you have any questions for the agent? Okay, Mr. Mastandrea, we have no questions. We've read all the materials. We're ready to go into committee. Is there anything you want to add?
No, I agree with the planning report. So if you want to make that the condition, I'm okay with it.
Okay. And you know about the forestry condition also, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right, panel members, we're in committee. Mr. Solomon.
Yeah, I believe that these variances are minor in nature, and I would move approval of the variances subject to community planning conditions and urban forestry condition number 2.
Okay, so that's seconded by Mr. Reed, so motion to approve, including the conditions outlined by Mr. Solomon. All in favor? Okay, and that was seconded by Mr. Reed, and that carries unanimously. Item number 10, 27 Seneca Avenue. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have 3 photographs of the surrounding property, a previous decision that affects this property. We have a 2-signature petition from the owner adjacent at 29 Seneca and the 17 Dakota. Alrighty, do I have the agent on the line? I don't show any other speakers.
Yes, Madam Chair, my name is Daniel Hall. I'm the principal at the Architect Builders Collaborative Inc., and I'm the agent on behalf of the owner.
Okay, again, I don't think we need a presentation. Do any of the members have questions for Mr. Hall? Mr. Hall, we've read all the materials. We're ready to make a decision on this. And is there anything that you want to add that's not in the materials?
No, Madam Chair, I think we've provided a pretty clear explanation of it. I hope we have.
Yes, actually you did. Okay, let's take it into committee then. Ms. Chan?
Yes, I'm ready to move for approval. I think it's a straightforward application, and the explanation in the application is really well written, and I will move for approval with no conditions.
Okay, do I have a seconder? You guys put your hands up at the same time. Okay, I'll go with Mr. Solomon this time. So, motion to approve, moved by Ms. Chan, seconded by Mr. Solomon. All in favor? Your application's been unanimously approved. Thank you. Item number 11, 72 Warren Road. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have an order to comply that was issued on September 8th in 2020 that affects the property, and the application is to legalize a two-story garage. And I do have two speakers listed in opposition. Do we have those on the line?
Madam Chair, both registered speakers are online.
Okay. Do I have the agent then? So we'll start with the agent and go from there.
Hi, yep, I'm the agent, Robert McCackey, architect.
Okay, we're going to start the clock now. You have 5 minutes, and then we'll go to the opposition.
This is an existing garage. My client had started doing some work without a permit, and it was to be repaired. The garage was in disrepair, and while they were constructing it, they wanted to add some additional space, and we were called in after the order to comply was issued. We have submitted drawings to illustrate. We're recreating what was there, what's typical in the neighborhood. There are a few other examples on the road that have this coach house with an upstairs in it. Our proposed drawings show that it's just recreating what has been existing, probably the same time the existing house was built, and we're just adding about 5 feet to the front of this building to make it a little bit longer garage space. And then there's storage on the second floor. We're maintaining the original setbacks, and we're increasing a little bit of the space. The roof line is a hip roof, so there's no second floor wall. It's all sloped on the second floor with some gables looking into our own property, but it's generally the existing conditions of what's been there for forever.
Okay, so I'll go to the opposition and then I'll have you back.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Adams?
Mr. Adams, you've been unmuted. Mr. Adams, can you hear us?
Okay, can you go to the next one and then try to connect with the other one after?
Madam Chair, the second speaker is no longer online. I'll try to contact her.
Okay. Sorry, folks, we're having problems again with people on the other end of the line. Okay, in the meantime, does anybody have any questions for the agent? Ms. Chen and then Mr. Solomon.
Yes, I have a couple of questions. The first one is I want to know the original. You say that it's a replacement of the original coach house. I want to know the original coach house. That did it have a second floor and also plumbing service? And that's one question. The second question is from the order to comply. It had mentioned that there was plumbing service trench have been put in coming down from the south, I guess south side to the garage. And what is the status of that surface trench? Is it part of this application, or is it intended to be used to bring plumbing to the coach house in the future? I just would like to know.
Mr. McCotchy, you there?
Hello?
Hi, did you get that question, or?
I did, yeah.
Questions?
Sorry, the first question was, it was an existing two-story building. We're planning on building really in the same footprint as the original building and maintaining the existing brick masonry walls where they're still in good shape. Yeah, like we were called on after some of this construction activity had started. And when we're talking about what is permitted with the zoning bylaw and what do we want to seek variance for, we decided with our client that we're not pursuing like a living space here. We're pursuing a permit for a garage with storage space on the second floor.
Okay, and then the plumbing connections, I believe Ms. Chan asked about.
We don't have any plan on having any plumbing fixtures or providing plumbing in this project.
Oh, so you say that then the trench, the surface trench will be what you call it, removed, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Solomon.
So my question is, why was there a service trench there if you were not looking to provide plumbing services?
Sorry, they originally were providing that, and that was their plan. And then when they had the stop work order and we started to get involved in the project, we advised them on, you know, what's allowed and what's not allowed, and what can we seek with variances, and we decided, no, this is not going to be a house back here. This is going to be, not that they were, you know, I think they had, yeah, it's just a garage with storage space, and that's all we're getting and applying for the building permit.
Any other questions, panel members? Okay, staff, have you been able to get anybody?
I sort of got a little bit confused. So it was not a coach house then, right? Because there's no plumbing before.
You know, to be honest,
you're replacing a coach house.
What we saw when we got there was like the roof had been removed, and we just have a photo of like the original wood structure for the second floor, which is a hip structure with a gable roof. And were there plumbing fixtures in here? I don't know if there were or not originally. There was one photo that was shared by the client that showed like a fairly well finished second floor with trim and wood flooring and plaster. But I don't know what the original use was for this structure.
Okay, I think we have somebody on the line. Hold on. Okay.
Madam Chair, I was able to locate the second registered speaker.
Okay, so Ms. Riches?
Unmuted.
Hello?
Ms. Riches.
You have reached the maximum time permitted for your recording. If you are satisfied with your message, press 1 to
Is there any, there were no more questions, right? Because
Hi, Mr. Adams. You've been unmuted. Mr. Adams, try unmuting yourself. Hi, Mr. Adams. You've been unmuted.
Yes, hi.
hi, Mr. Adams.
Okay,
Are you wanted
I'm
to?
having trouble.
Okay.
Yes, I'd like to speak, but I'm having trouble with my audio settings.
Okay. Well, I can hear you now. So just identify your address for the record, and then we'll start the clock.
Okay, I'll be brief. It's Brad Adams. I'm a resident at the building on the building on the north side of the property in question.
And
I'm also on the.
Yes, sorry. Just do you have anything running in the background, like your computer? If you do, can you turn the volume down because everything is echoing here?
Okay, sorry about this. What about now?
Much better, thanks.
Okay. And I'm using my cell phone, so there we go.
All right, you're good.
So I'm sorry. I'm very sorry for the confusion. So I'm in the building just north of the property in question, which is a co-ownership building. We're owners, 52 owners. It's not an apartment building. And in fact, I'm looking out at the backyard of this space right now because I'm on the south side of 78 Warren Road and I've witnessed this going back. The architect was completely great in his explanation. So just a couple of questions. There's a prehistory here, and then I just might respond to the architect. Although I do think that his comments were restored some trust around this project. First of all, the building I'm looking out on, as the architect said, is not an existing garage. That was removed or deconstructed with all but a kind of a perimeter wall. A lot of the wall was removed, so the building does not actually exist. I was going to say in terms of height and so on of the proposed height in the variance, what is that based upon? It was not based upon a technical measurement of the existing garage, because by the time the architect came to the space, he had only to rely on a photograph. And we were very concerned about the sequence by which the owner, plus the contractor and anyone else who was giving input into the project in the summer of 2020, doing so without any sort of permits. They ought to have known and must have known about the variance issues and so on. And even then, we don't know, the architect doesn't know whether the plan was to actually install a livable space in the second story, which otherwise was in the pre-existing garage, which was dismantled, was clearly only looked like an attic kind of space for some minimal storage given but I was never inside the building, of course. In fact, some of our co-owners were those who complained about this with alarm that this structure was going up in the summer of 2020 without any process and that was quite alarming. So when we look at this, there's not an existing garage there. There's walls, plus walls that they began to construct before there was the order to comply in September. And apparently there were some warnings before then. At least certainly they were alerted of the concerns. So the building that's now proposed, the structure that's now proposed, strikes me as being more than simply a replication of the old garage, which was dismantled. And one of the primary concerns was whether this was a livable space being now constructed as a coach house. And I think the architect has indicated that his discussions, if this is approved, it should be on the condition that there's clarity that it is not a space dedicated to a new purpose, i.e., as a coach house with a garage underneath of it, because certainly the height is going to go up. So we got significant variances from a building that doesn't exist on 2, 3, and 5 in terms of the height of the rear detached garage, which is doubled. In 3, the 2 stories, which looks to me like more volume in the second story than previously. But I do take the point that it is now it's not being purposed as a livable space with plumbing and so on. But I would want to see that laid out in more than a discussion between the architect and the owner of the building. And it's number 5 in the variance that it doubles the total floor plan at the on the lot itself. I gather those are 3 significant variances. We lost trust in this project just as neighbors. I looked down on it and was concerned about the quality of the contractors working on the unit, just what their level was, and if a contractor was not aware of variance issues and so on, then there's some
Mr.
strange
Adams?
situation there.
Hi,
Yes.
I need you to wrap up. You're over 5 minutes.
Okay, so those were our background of concerns. I take the architect's correction on those, but I still think there needs to be some due diligence on this project to ensure that going forward, if that is the will and the decision, that this project is properly managed and as defined by the architect. But thanks for the opportunity to talk about that. And I was impressed by the architect's summary of his role in this.
Okay, thank you, and glad you got your audio issues sorted out. Were you able to get the other speaker? No? Okay, Mr. McCutcheon?
Hi.
Hi, can you just speak to the issues raised?
Admittedly, we're not sure what the height was of the original building, so we were relying on the photograph. I mean, we sized it to almost an 8-foot high ceiling, and then there's some, pitched roof that goes over that. The goal was to try to recreate the original building as much as we can with, the same heritage look as what was there before, and then while we're doing it, ask for an extra 5 feet on the front of it. So I wouldn't say it's a doubling of the size of the building, but it's 5 feet longer on one side.
Okay, Ms. Chan has another question.
Yes, since the new building has already been built, do you have a photograph of the new building, please?
Oh, no. When I showed up, it was the roof, everything above the second floor was demolished. And so this is a photo that was before I showed up. And then when I arrived, the brick wall that we see that holds the garage door was removed, and they had started to propose this extra space at the front that we're requesting now through Committee of Adjustment. And that's all we saw, three brick walls and the beginning of new masonry walls out the front that we hadn't had approval for yet.
Any more questions, panel members? Okay, let's take it into committee. Mr. Solomon.
I do have concerns with what is being proposed. I do not believe that it results in appropriate development, and I don't believe that the variances are minor in nature. To me, looking at the site plan, floor plan, and the elevation drawings, this looks more like it's going to be used for habitable space. The elevation drawings appear to show windows on several sides of this building. And I don't believe what is being proposed reflects what's actually being shown on the plans. So I would, I cannot support this, the variance.
Ms. Chan?
Okay, I'm sort of in the middle. I will take the applicant's words for, for what it is, that is going to be just storage space. But if if we were going to approve, I would like to put a restriction, two conditions. One is no plumbing connections is allowed, or the second floor is not going to be a habitable space. And that's the only thing. But I understand Ms. Solomon's concern, and I do have the same concern too. And in other cases, we actually have put a note to, and so that the public will know that the committee of judgment does not condone building before a proper permit has been obtained.
Mr. Reed, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I would agree with Yim's point. I think that I think that it is in good faith in terms of trying to replicate what was there before. So in a sense, it's the variances being requested are slightly like existing conditions, even though the owners did it the wrong way. But I think that with Yim's conditions, I would support that.
Okay, Ms. Chan, did you want to move a motion then?
Yes, my motion, yes, can you hear? Yeah, a motion for approval with two conditions. One is no plumbing service be connected, and also the building cannot be used as a habitable space.
Okay, and Mr. Reed, you're seconding? Okay, all in favor? That carries. And Mr. Solomon, you dissent? Okay. Okay, I'd like to take a 5-minute break. I think we all need just to stretch our leg break, so 5 minutes. Actually, make it 7. We'll come back at 1:45. Easier. Yeah, am I, okay? Okay, item number 12. Yim, okay, great. Item number 12, 24 Aldergrove Avenue. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans and elevations, a photograph of the property, a covering letter from the agent, and forestry are asking for condition number 1. And we received a condition from planning, and again, maybe staff can put it up in the supplemental agenda last night. Okay, do I have the agent on the line?
Yes, hello.
Hi, your name?
Hi, my name is Jacob Jabali. I'm the principal architect at Brain Architects.
Okay, you're speaking on behalf of the owners, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, well, I don't think we need a presentation. Panel members, any questions for the agent? Okay, sir, we have no questions. We're ready to go into committee and make a decision. Is there anything you want to add that wasn't in the materials that were submitted?
Yes, Madam Chair. I just wanted to make note that as part of our report, there were 2 appendices there. One with 7 letters of support and also a table outlining some precedents of other approved applications through the committee with similar variances. Typically those are separate files, but they're all going to combine into one report. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention there.
Okay, thank you. The members did go through it, so we did see, the materials.
Wonderful.
Okay, alrighty. Panel members, let's take it into committee then for a decision. Mr. Solomon.
I think this is an appropriate development. The variances are minor in nature, and I would move approval of the variances subject to community planning conditions and urban forestry condition number 1.
All right, do I have a seconder for that motion? Mr. Reed, so motion to approve, including the conditions listed by Mr. Solomon. Moved by Mr. Solomon, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor? Application's been approved. Thank you. Item number 13, 313 LINSMORE Crescent. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, and that's all the material that we have. I do not show any opposition speakers. Do I have the agent on the line?
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair and committee members. My name is Randall Dickey. I'm the authorized agent for the property owner.
Okay, panel members, do you have any questions for the agent? Anybody? Okay, Mr. Dickey, we have no questions. We've read the materials. We're ready to make a decision. Anything you want to add that wasn't in the submissions?
Nothing further, just to sort of reiterate that the proposal is to demolish an older house and detached dwelling and replace it with a new dwelling and new detached garage that's more modern and appropriate for the occupants. I am aware of no departmental conditions from any forestry or planning or engineering, and I'd be pleased to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Okay, we don't have any questions, so we're going to take it into committee for a decision. Ms. Chen.
Yeah, I control the variances. I consider them they're all minor, and I'm glad that they do not have any oppositions. And I agree with that. That even the planning do not have any comment, and it's a straightforward application. I would like to move for approval.
No conditions.
I don't think there's any conditions. No. Yeah.
No. Okay. Do I have a seconder? Mr. Solomon. So motion to approve, moved by Ms. Chan, seconded by Mr. Solomon. All in favor? The application's been unanimously approved. Thank you. Item number 14, 90 Garfield Avenue. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, a covering letter from the agent, and forestry is asking for condition number 2, correspondence in support from number 95 McLennan, and 3 form letters from number 80-101 Garfield and 218 Inglewood Drive. And I don't have any speakers in opposition. Do I have the agent on the line?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Jay Smith. I'm the agent for the application at 90 Garfield Avenue.
Okay, good morning. And panel members, do you have any questions for the agent? Okay. We're ready to go into committee to make a decision. Is there anything you want to add? I do note that I believe I read that variants 2 and 3 are existing conditions.
That is correct, Madam Chair, and I have nothing further to add. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, panel members? Mr. Reid.
Thanks. This is a very minor application, and yes, and 2 of the variances being sought are existing. It's almost as minor as it gets, I think. So very reasonable, and I move an motion for approval subject to urban forestry condition 2.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that motion? Okay, Mr. Salomon, so motion to approve. Moved by Mr. Reid, seconded by Mr. Salomon. Forestry condition number 2. All in favor? Okay, that's unanimously approved. Item number 15, 39 Lankin Boulevard. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 2 photographs of the subject property, a copy of annotated architectural drawings also submitted by the applicant, correspondence in support from 892 Coxwell Avenue. We have a lot of support, form letters in support, 20 of them, of residents on Lankin Avenue, including number 37, which is adjacent, and through 902A Coxwell, 119 Durant, and 817 Cosburn Avenue. No opposition. There is a planning condition that came in the supplemental agenda, and again, maybe staff can put it on the screen. Do I have the agent on the line?
Yes, good morning. My name is Leo Mastre. I'm the agent for the owners at 39 Lankin.
Okay, good morning again. I don't think we need a presentation. Members, do you have any questions for Mr. Maslanadea? Okay, sir, we have no questions. We're ready to take this into committee for a decision. Anything you want to add that wasn't in the materials that you submitted?
No.
Alrighty. Okay, panel members, we're in committee. Ms. Chan.
Yeah, I've gone through the variances, I think accumulatively and also singly they're minor, and he has a lot of supports in the area, and I'm happy to move for approval.
Including the planning condition, right?
Yeah, is there some
Yeah, it
planning
was in the
condition?
supplement, it's on the screen. It was in the supplemental agenda.
I'm sorry, I missed that. So yeah, I would like to include the planning conditions.
Okay. All right, is there a seconder for this, Ms. Reid, Mr. Reid? So moved by Ms. Chan, seconded by Mr. Reid. All in favor? That carries unanimously. Okay, thank you. Item number 16, 51 Ava Road. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, presentation materials submitted by the agent. We have transportation asking for a condition, correspondence in opposition from Mr. Galbraith representing 329 Richview Avenue, as well as 406 Richview. I'm showing 3 speakers. Do we have them all?
Madam Chair, there was a 4th speaker that's been registered today.
So there's 4 in opposition now?
I'm not too sure about the 4th speaker.
Okay.
He did not specify.
All right. Well, let's go to the agent because it looks like we need a presentation on this one.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Just testing my audio.
Yeah, you're good, Mr. Bronskill.
Thank you, Mr. Bronskill, Bronskill from Goodman's, 333 Bay Street, Suite 3400, here as agent on behalf of the applicant. Madam Chair, the proposal before the committee is for a new house at the corner. The major component of this redesign, and I saw the letter from Mr. Galbraith, is the driveway moving over from Ava to Richview. And I just wanted to touch on that very quickly because it impacts how the property ends up being designed, and I think directly relates to the test of being desirable and appropriate. moving the driveway over from Ava to Richview enables, frankly, an appropriate backyard. And that's what is the genesis for the change. A driveway left over on the other side ends up with potential garage placements, driveway placements, where it's cutting into that area of the backyard. If staff were able on the presentation materials to go to the site plan with thanks, and this is a site plan that I think the style of this site plan the committee has seen before. There's a green line showing the existing structure on the property, a red dashed line that shows the as of right envelope, and then the black line showing the proposed 3-story dwelling. You can see that as the to the south of 329, it's that wall is actually moved in to coincide with the setback requirement there. The side yard setback of 0.76 is on the Ava Road side, where there are the projections for the dwelling beyond the side yard. And you can see that on the Richview side, the front wall is lining up with where the front wall is supposed to line up, and you can see the driveway. You can see length and depth to the rear bump out portion, and then a backyard that includes both amenity space and a pool, and so is a functional backyard without the requirement for any type of parking arrangement in that area off Ava Road. Our understanding of the intent of this provision is to ensure that the driveway is located in an appropriate and safe location. You have the memo from Transportation Services in front of you indicating no objection. So they've assessed it and indicated it's acceptable. They do want the curb cut closed off Ava Road, which is obviously an appropriate condition acceptable to our client. And so I don't think there's any safety concern. That is, you don't have any evidence from, I'd be in a much different position presenting to you if I had Transportation Services in opposition to the location of the driveway. In the balance of the package, we have some of the material that may assist you. There's the map showing the different density permissions that have been granted in the area. There's a rendering of the new house, and because there had been some concerns about shadows, there's a package of shadow studies prepared. As you can well imagine, most of the shadows are falling on Ava Road as opposed to on backyards later in the day. Obviously, there is some shadow on 41, but it's not anything that I think would be not contemplated in terms of the bylaw and at that time of the day. That's the overall explanation. I'm happy to take any questions at this time, Madam Chair, and maybe I'll just reserve any further comments until I've heard from the other speakers.
Okay, thank you. Panel members, do you want to hold your questions till after the opposition? Okay, so we'll have you back after the opposition speaks. Do you have Ms. Green?
Ms. Green, you've been unmuted.
Hi there, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Can you please identify yourself, name and address for the record? And after you've done that, we'll start the clock. You'll have 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. My name's Shoshana Green. I live at 329 Richview Avenue, the adjacent property to 51 Ava Road. You hear me okay there?
Yeah, go ahead, keep going.
Great, thank you. So as you're aware, I am the neighboring property, and I'd like to speak to a number of the minor variances that have been put forward before the committee. The first one that I'd like to focus on is number 5. And with respect to that, the vehicle access to a parking space. And the report, as Mr. Bromskill referred to from Sean Galbraith, I will be relying on that report with respect to my objection to that particular minor variance. Specifically, I think Mr. Galbraith's report, it speaks to it quite clearly, but there are a number of items that I would like to bring forward with respect to that issue. The first is, I'd like the committee to understand that there's a complete realignment of the driveway that's taking place here. The homes in question in the neighborhood, I mean, this particular home, it's the original home. The driveway has been located on Ava Road since it's existed. And as you're aware, one of the issues that you have to deal with respect to the granting of a minor variance is the general intent and purpose of the Official Planning Act. And it's my respectful submission that in this particular case, it's not being maintained here. And when you look at Mr. Galbraith's report specifically with respect to the geographic issues in the neighborhood in its entirety, he's done a review of 54 corner lots. And of those 54, if you turn to page 4 of his report, I could ask you to go to that report, please. Can you do that, or is that for me to do? I'm not sure.
No, you can't do it. We'll have to find it. But we have it things in 2 different places, so it takes a minute.
Okay, I'll just wait for you to bring it up then, so the committee can review it.
I think the Galbraith, you're looking for the Galbraith, Sean
Yes,
Galbraith's
that's
report,
correct.
right? No, it would be
Oh, it's
opposition.
not that one. I think you have it listed as a letter of objection.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, that's it.
opposition. Yeah, the last one.
There you go. If you scan down to page 4 of that, there you go. There. So the property in question is the orange one in the center there, and there's only 3 properties that have the orientation that's being requested to be changed here. And of those 3 properties that are of the different orientation, those are those green ones on the map, there's no history of them sort of being changed to that orientation. And obviously, by looking at this map, everything in the geographic area is consistent with what exists now, specifically for 51 Ava Road. So that's number 1. Number 2, when you look in the immediate context, if you go to the next page, I believe, if you could scroll down. No, keep going. No, the same unit. Yeah, keep going. There. Those are the corners in question. And in the immediate context, at the corner of Ava and Richview, all 4 corners have the same orientation with respect to the driveway. You'll see the little purple boxes there. This request to move the driveway to the Richview side, I mean, you can't see from this, but there's a stop sign right at that corner, and this driveway would be put basically in my front door. And if you look at the site plan, it's also on a sloping piece of land. In the immediate context, it's my respectful submission that this minor, while putting quotes, minor variance is not minor, it's major, and it does not comply with being minor, and it does not comply with any of the desired effects of the Official Planning Act. So I would respectfully ask you to deny that. And in response to Mr. Bronskill's submission that, by allowing this driveway to be put on the other side, giving the backyard a more meaningful experience, it doesn't really make any sense, because the backyard is going to be made smaller by the size of the house. And that leads me to my next submission with respect to the other variances, with respect to the size. The statistical analysis provided when you show what's being requested and what's been allowed, every single request on the variances going from number 1, 2, 3, and number 8 on the size issues are all increases. And I believe it's that document that Mr. Bronskill has before you. You had scrolled in. It's the one that was received on February 1st. If I could ask you to turn to page 4 of that.
Okay, once we pull that up, I'll need you to wrap up, because you're at
No
5
problem,
minutes,
yeah.
okay?
It just takes a while for it, because I can't show you myself. Yeah, the one with the little green circles there. You can make that one bigger. The proposed floor space index density is 91.28%. I'm going to ask you to look on that map to see what else is above 90. There's 1. So obviously this is not in compliance with what's going on in the neighborhood. Sure, there's been increases, but nothing like this. And the final thing that I just want to bring to your attention to the committee There's an affidavit from myself that's in your materials. There hasn't been proper notice given to the neighborhood. I don't really understand how you can proceed when there hasn't been 10 days notice placed in a prominent place in the home that's asking for these variances. There's evidence that the notice was not placed. So I don't know how you proceed forward. So those are all of my submissions, subject to any questions any committee members may have.
Okay. Thank you. Panel members, do you have any questions of the speaker? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Green. Do you have the next speaker on the line?
Hello, Robin Seligman. You've been unmuted.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
I can. Can you please state your name and address for the record, and then we'll reset the clock? You'll have 5 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Robin Seligman, and I live at 406 Richview Avenue, which is a couple doors away from the property in question.
Okay.
So I would like to confirm that no notice had been posted in the windows of the residence. I checked all windows on Saturday, December the 6th, and there was no notice posted. So I'm confirming what Ms. Green has said. Number 2, I wholeheartedly support what Ms. Green and Galbraith and Associates have said regarding the driveway on Richview. I think it's totally inappropriate to put a driveway right beside a stop sign, nor is it consistent with the street and what's going on in the neighborhood. And finally, the building is massive and is not in compliance with the many other approvals in the area, and particularly on Richview. The wall heights are extremely high, and the location of the building is on a hill on Richview and will create a structure that's like a towering monstrosity, providing no privacy for the neighbors beside and even beyond beside their locations because of the height and the proximity of the property. So to me, this does not comply with the what's intended by the plan and the official plan, because it's a total invasion of privacy. It would be like having someone with binoculars on the 3rd floor looking into your backyard, into your bedroom, because I know there's balconies as well. So with respect, I find that would be a very bad precedent to set in our neighborhood on a Richview. Richview lots are all approximately 40 feet by 128. So this massive structure may very well be appropriate on other streets where they have larger lots and deeper lots, but not for Richview. And subject to any questions that the board has, those are my submissions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, panel members? Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Seligman. Mr. Snyder?
Can you hear me?
I can. Can you also
Okay.
identify yourself for the record?
Yes. Yes, I will. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee members. My name is Ken Snyder. My wife and I reside at 41 Ava Road, which is immediately adjacent to 51 Ava Road to the east. We object to variance 5 by the applicant respecting the location of the driveway. And in addition, we have very serious privacy concerns as a result of variances 2 and 3. Unfortunately, we were not consulted in the planning stages of the project, which may have prevented our concerns, and it was not possible to reach any satisfactory agreement with the applicant to resolve our privacy concerns. First, I would like to state my full agreement with the submissions made by Shoshana Green and Ms. Seligman in respect of variance 5 and more generally in terms of the character of the neighborhood. In summary, the change to the driveway is fundamentally uncharacteristic of the general and immediate neighborhood. The vast majority of the homes have driveways facing the fronting street. A very important effect of permitting the variance is that it will create a massive edifice along Ava Road, which is entirely out of scale and character of the neighborhood. We respectfully submit that in evaluating the application, that the committee take the consequential appearance of the house on Ava Road into account with the cumulative effect of other variances if allowed. Other variances sought, for example, variances 2, 3, and 8, if allowed, will further prejudice the character of the general and immediate streetscape by having a longer and higher home closer to the street. While each of the other variances may seem minor by themselves, there will be a very important cumulative adverse effect. Second, allowing variance 5 will set, in my opinion, a very dangerous precedent in the immediate neighborhood which will lead to further changes to the character of the neighborhood, contrary to the purpose and intent of the plan. And finally, we have a side yard and have grave privacy concerns with the proposed balcony, which will be overlooking our side yard and pool in the close proximity of the proposed pool to our fence. The fence has slats and it's on the western boundary. We spend a great deal of time in the side yard from May to October, and it's vital to the enjoyment of our home. The fence will not be adequate to afford us reasonable privacy from persons on the balcony in the proposed pool. While no variance is required for the balcony, the additional building length proposed through variances 2 and 3 bring the house with its windows and balcony closer to our property, contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning provisions regarding building length, and the result is not minor. However, if the committee decides to grant the variances, in order to achieve mutual privacy between the two properties, we suggest that a requirement be that a hedge of trees be planted along the western fence, forming a cordon or hedge of trees spanning 3 to 4 feet above the existing fence, be planted on the applicant's property, and that all costs of the purchase, installation, and maintenance should be borne by the applicant. We have no viable alternative of protecting our privacy. Planting on our side would involve very substantial expense and destroy a very detailed landscaping and masonry, which was installed at great expense. We believe that this condition is a very reasonable one, having regard to the magnitude of the project and the very significant expense. One comment that I would just like to make in response to the remarks made by the agent for the applicant regarding the movement of the driveway. The movement of the driveway does not in any way be required in order to have a backyard with a swimming pool. I do not know how much more space it can provide, but leaving the driveway where it is leaves very substantial room for a backyard. Perhaps not quite as large as they might like, but it would be fundamentally incorrect to assert that moving the driveway is necessary for the enjoyment of their backyard and the plans for a pool. Finally, if the variances are allowed, we respectfully submit that the approval be on the condition that the development be substantially in accordance with the plans dated September 27, 2021. Thank you very much for hearing my comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Any questions of the speaker panel members? All right. Did you have one more speaker?
Hi, Mr. Title.
Hello? Yes. Hi.
Hi.
Am I
yeah.
am I audible?
You are. Do you have anything running in the background? Seems to be a bit of an echo.
Well, I can shut my computers.
Yeah,
I don't know if
try
that'll...
turning the volume off. See if that works.
I'm just going to shut them down completely. Just give me 1 second, please. Is that better?
Much better. Can I ask you for your name and address for the record? Because I don't have you listed here, so I just want to note it.
Murray Title, T-E-I-T-E-L, 417 Richview.
Okay, well, you have 5 minutes, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you. I support what I heard from my neighbors, my 3 neighbors, and won't repeat what they said. I'd just like to also point out that this is like a very, very nice house the applicants wish to demolish. It's perfectly livable. It's not like they're tearing down something that's on its last legs or has a moldy basement or whatever. To cover 91% of the lot in this area is not appropriate, but exacerbated by the fact that perfectly good housing is going to be demolished. The rubble is going to go, I don't think any of us know where. Maybe some can be recycled, maybe some can't. New materials will have to be manufactured and transported to the site. It just doesn't make sense from a community point of view. It's a street as well in regards to the issue with the driveway, where there are, like just in my block, I can think off the top of my, I don't know their names, but I can think of about 10 little kids under the age of 10. And there's elderly women walking for exercise. To locate the driveway next to a stop sign where there are no sidewalks is, in my view, not appropriate, with all due respect to the applicants. Those are my submissions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions of the speaker? All right. Mr. Bronskill, are you there?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'm still here.
Okay, we're restarting the clock, so if you can address the issues raised, that'd be appreciated.
I will try and do them all, Madam Chair. First, in terms of the issue of notice, my understanding is that I checked with our client when we saw the affidavit. The sign was first posted on January 12th. It has been up for weeks. We acknowledge that on the last few days, the sign has fallen off the screen. My client simply said they were all at home with COVID last week and weekend. They didn't notice it. When they saw it was down, they put it back up. So I don't think there's an issue of notice here, and clearly not when there are submissions being made to the committee, both in writing and verbally. In terms of the movement of the driveway, I would simply note for the committee, I don't think anybody gave any meaningful evidence about impact, and I trust Transportation Services to have reviewed it. People don't like it being moved, but that's not, in my respectful submission, enough of a reason to turn down the request. I have seen Mr. Galbraith's letter. With respect to my friend Mr. Galbraith, he's not a transportation consultant. He did not indicate any issue of impact, and his approach, which is to look for where else this is in the neighborhood, is a test of replication, which is not an application of the 4 tests. We don't simply look to where else it may or may not occur for driveway locations. We look at what the intent of the provision is, and it's to ensure appropriate access and safety, and that intent, in my respectful submission, has been met here. In terms of privacy, length, depth, I just want to remind the committee, the bump out is a 1-story kitchen bump out. The length and depth, as shown on the site plan, is measured below grade because the basement extends under that provision of the patio that goes beyond. But the second floor building length is 18.26 meters. The first floor building length to the extent of the kitchen bump out is 21.19 meters. These are not big length variances when you apply them to the above grade structure, and I think the committee in its experience will recognize that. If the rendering, when you see it in the package as well, if perhaps I could ask the indulgence of committee of staff again to go to the rendering to see, you will see the 1-story bump out. So that to the back of that, it's 21.19 meters. You will see the second floor, 18.26 meters. You will see no third floor windows. They're on the Ava Road side. They're not on the east side facing over to Mr. Snyder's backyard. So the alleged privacy impacts are from second floor windows and a platform that meets the bylaw and a second floor that extends 18.26 meters. So I don't think there is the type of overlook concern that rises to the extent of being an undue planning impact. I would note there were extensive consultations between my client's architect and Mr. Snyder. It's just that an agreement wasn't reached. So it's not fair to say that he wasn't consulted. There was extensive consultation. It's just there wasn't an agreement reached with him in terms of potential mitigation measures for his concerns. So overall, I would just say to the committee, when the house itself is an appropriate structure, moving the driveway back to the Ava Road side isn't going to change that built form. It's in fact just going to put a driveway and a parking space closer to Mr. Snyder, and it will have an impact on the usability of the backyard, which is something that we should be encouraging not to occur in these days when we understand that people want access to more outdoor space, not less outdoor space. And so I would simply urge the committee to put its faith in transportation staff who do not identify any type of safety concern with the new location, and ask the committee to approve the variances subject to the transportation condition. I think there is a forestry condition, and my client would have no concern about a planning condition that construction occurs substantially in accordance with the plans.
Okay, Ms. Chan.
I have one question. I missed the chance to ask the question when one of the opposition, I think it's from 41 Ava Street, mentioning that he would like to have a planting hedge. I miss where the location of what he was talking about, or whether that has been in discussion with their neighbor about this hedge planting.
You heard?
Yeah, can you give me more detail? Is that, yeah,
yes.
his concern is about privacy, I think. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Our backyard, where we spend a great deal of time, is facing 51 Ava Road. And there to the side yard of 51 Ava Road. And we erected a fence in compliance with the bylaw at the edge of our property, which is adjacent to 51 Ava Road. However, because of the platform being built on the second floor, it will be now overlooking our backyard, as well as the pool, which is quite close to the fence. There are slats in the fence, and there is an ability to see through the fence. So we raised, after the plans had been submitted with the architect, our privacy concerns. My reference to consultation was that we were not consulted during the beginning of the project in any way, shape, or form regarding the possible impact on us. I initiated the discussions with the architect. Unfortunately, there was not an agreement reached that the applicant would of trees that would span a portion of the backyard to give us privacy from the platform, which is on the second floor looking into our home. And it was my understanding that the applicant was also concerned about privacy and was interested in mutual privacy. So unfortunately, an agreement was not reached which addressed our desire to have a row of trees planted to give privacy on the applicant's property.
Mr. Bronskill, are you there?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'm here.
Okay, so that was a negotiation between the two of you that clearly there was no agreement on. Is that correct?
That's correct, Madam Chair.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for the agent? No? Okay, so let's take it into committee then. Any comments? Mr. Reed.
Thanks. I can start. I was initially concerned with the placement of the driveway, but and largely for safety concerns, but the fact that transportation didn't flag that. That gives me some comfort. And the rest of the application, I think, is supportable from my perspective. I think the variances are limited in their impact, partly because a lot of the depth and length are related to the underground portion and first floor portion. So I think that it's, I think the variances, the impact of the variances over what's allowed are not significant. So I'm going to be supporting this.
Anyone else? Mr. Solomon?
I too will support the application, but I would like to tie it to the site plan and elevation drawings to ensure that the building length that's being proposed really only applies to that one-story portion, and that the second and third story then are not subject, are not able to expand. And I think ultimately then that limits then the overall massing and bulk of the proposed building.
Okay. Ms. Chan?
Okay, I also in support, but I also like to mention that I think the applicant may be able to work with the neighbor resolving the privacy issues. I think that would be great, but I do not think we can put a condition on that. Yeah.
Okay. I'll need a motion then from somebody. Mr. Reed?
Thanks. I move a motion to approve the application subject to the transportation condition and that it be tied to the site plan and elevations.
Okay, so that's moved by Mr. Reed. Do I have a seconder? Mr. Solomon? Okay, all in favor? And I think maybe Madam Deputy Secretary Treasury can note in the notes that we would encourage that the applicant continue discussions with the neighbor at 41. Okay, so that's been approved unanimously. Item number 17, 68 Rhodes Avenue. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, a copy of the revised site plan, floor plans, and elevations, presentation materials submitted by the applicant, email correspondence from planning. They have a condition and correspondence in opposition from number 69. And I don't show any speakers listed. Do I have the agent on the line?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee members. My name is Adam Brander and my address is 49 Bolton Avenue in Toronto, and I'm the agent and architect for the proposal at 68 Rhodes.
Okay, welcome back. I think, do we have, we don't need a presentation. Are there any questions? Ms. Chan, did you have a question?
Yes, or yes or no. There's this staff conditions about the driveway. Is it okay? Do you agree with the condition?
Are you aware?
Through you, Madam Chair. Yes, we've in the revised plans we've indicated porous paving for the driveway to be included.
Okay. Yeah.
Any other questions, panel members? Okay, Mr. Brander, is there anything you want to add before we go? Did you have a question, Ms. Chan, or you were ready to move on? Okay, so is there anything you want to add, Mr. Brander, before we take it into committee?
Nope.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Chan.
Yes, I am ready to move for approval. I don't have any problem with these applications, and I would like to put the condition of planning department with regarding variance 2, and also the front driveway, and tied to the revised plans, site plan. Yeah, submitted February 2nd.
Okay, so we're adopting the revised plan that's in the that's number E4 in our submission, or in our agenda rather, right? Okay, so you're recommending approval then? And those revisions address the planning concerns. So do I have a seconder for that? That's moved by Ms. Chan, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor? Okay, it's been unanimously approved. Thank you. Item number 18, 175 Withrow Avenue. We have before us a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, support from 190 Riverdale Avenue, as well as 171 and 177, which is adjacent, 183, 179, 169, and 185 Pane, and 169 is Riverdale. So I don't show any opposition speakers. Do I have the agent on the line?
My name is Maureen Beckett. I'm the architect and the owner at 175 Withrow Avenue.
Okay, panel members, do you need a presentation? Do you have any questions for the agent? Okay, Ms. Beckett, we have no questions. We're ready to make a decision. We've read all the materials. Or anything you want to add before we take it into committee?
There was a comment received by Sean Gunther from Community Planning. He had a concern with our variance requested for zero soft landscaping at the rear of the site. But we do have an existing condition. Right now it's a driveway. So I wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of that existing condition.
It's an existing condition? Okay.
That's correct.
Okay, I don't show anything here from planning. Staff, do you? I don't see anything. Okay, well, thank you for making us aware of that.
You're welcome.
Okay, panel members, let's take it into committee for a decision. Mr. Salomon.
So I believe that their variances are minor. There are only 3 variances, and it results in an appropriate development laneway suite. And I would move approval of the variances with no conditions.
Okay, and that's
So,
seconded.
sorry,
Yeah.
isn't it a laneway street? We have a sort of standard engineering condition for a laneway street?
Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, so the standard conditions for laneway suite?
If you want to impose that, sure. We don't have a memo from ECS, but
Okay, we can impose that if you're more comfortable adding it. We don't have an engineering memo, but staff says it's fine to impose the standard conditions. So you're okay with that, Mr. Salomon?
Sure.
Okay, and are you seconding then, Ms. Chan, with that condition? Okay, so all in favor of that motion to approve with the standard consent condition or conditions for the ancillary building? So that's unanimous. Item number 19, 78 Roxborough Street West. We have before us a copy of the survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, copy of a slope simulation plan submitted by the applicant, and presentation materials from the applicant. We have a report from planning. They're asking for refusal of variance number 2. Forestry is asking for conditions 1 and 2. We have number 76 in support, the adjacent neighbor, and opposition from number 70 Roxborough. And I'm not showing any speakers other than the agent. So do I have, oh, and there's also in the supplemental agenda an additional support letter from 90 McPherson Avenue. Okay, do I have the agent on the line?
Good morning, committee. My name is Bob Akizadi. I'm presenting 78 Roxborough.
Okay, sir. Panel members, do you have any questions?
I,
the agent? And sir, you're aware of the refusal recommendation of variance?
yes, yes, I know the planning has a concern, and I just want to mention that this is in regards to variance number 2, and we are willing to drop the height to 10.5 meters as opposed to 11.3 meters. And also, if you bring my presentation material, I can explain exactly what's going on. So, this is the revised one, that our height is 10.5 meters, and our neighbor to the east that we are, we are almost sharing our east wall with, their height is about 12 meters. And as far as the massing and the look, we thought it would be more appropriate to mimic what they have. And also, beside that, we went over the 5 years decision it's been made, and more specifically, what has been done in Roxborough. So if you go to the second slide, so you can see these are the houses. It's been recently in past 5 years approved to the Committee of Adjustment, and these are the pair of the walls, and they're all well above 10 meters, and their average is 10.6 meters, and that's why we are proposing to drop our height in 10 meters. And if you go to the slope simulation, so if we were going to have it like if from the rendering that you saw, so we have a ledge on the second floor, right? So if we were going to have a rendering, if we were going to have a slope roof, our slope roof would be very deep. So our height would be very similar, and it would be very similar to what we have right now. And if you go back to the presentation, I just want to show you something else. So if you go to the examples of the flat roof, yeah, so you see these two houses, it's not so far away. There are a number of 67 and 64. They are about 11.7 meters, and they're all flat roof. So this is something that's been repeatedly done in the street, and it's not something that we are applying, and it's just we're changing the look of the street, and we are mimicking what has been happening our east of us, which is fairly a brand new modern house with almost 12 meters height. So to address the planning concern, we are willing to drop our height to 10.5 meters.
Okay, Mr. Solomon, did you have a question before we? Okay, so Mr. Solomon has a question for you. You're muted, can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry, I had a question about the proposed FSI of 0.9, and how does that fit in with the FSIs in the surrounding area?
Great. So as you know, the FSI is the integration of the length and the height. So our height is 10.5 meters, which is well below than 12 meters, which is allowable in this area. And our length is only 17 meters, and our setback is actually as bylaw is only on the east wall, and that's because of this structural reason, because we are keeping the east wall as where it is because it's very close to the neighbor, and we've been recommended to keep that wall for the structural reason. But it's very it's within the actually approval in the neighborhood, because when we designed this, we went over the 5 years decision by the committee, and 90, 95, and sometimes over 1, it's been repeatedly done in the neighborhood. It's not something that, it's been done for the first time. And that's why the planning department has not opposed it.
And I also had a question about the east side yard setback, and if we can just pull up the site plan, because I thought there might have some discrepancy, and I just wanted a clarification. So if you can just explain what is the east side yard that's proposed, because the variance is for 0 meters and 0.4 meters.
Exactly. So if you see where it's been highlighted in the black, that's the existing wall, which we have to keep because it's so close to the fairly brand new house on number 76. And for the safety reason, our structural engineer recommended us to keep this wall as where it is and do not touch it. So we are doing the underpinning and pouring the wall in front of it. So that's will stay right here. And where we are proposing addition, we have 1'6", which is fairly by law setback right there. And on the other side, we have 0.9 all the way, which is actually improving of existing condition anyways.
So the east is, so I thought you're showing a 0.9, is that correct? It's hard to read.
No, on the west side is 0.9, on the east side, so we are keeping the wall, and then where we are proposing addition, we are proposing 1.6 meters, 0.45. 45 centimeter.
So the east side is on the right side, am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, on the shared wall between number 76 and 78.
And so that site plan, is that showing at the back point 0.9?
I can't. Yeah, that's a typo. If you see the under variances and everything else, it's 0.45.
Well, that may be on the variances, but the site plan is what we're looking at. So it's not clear what you're actually proposing on your
So
site.
like I said, you can tie me up to 0.45, and that's what it's been to. But this is the typo.
Well, it's not just a typo. Doesn't the whole wall then shift to the right?
Well, if you go through the variances, that's what the zoning examiner actually concerned. Like if you go over the variance number 1, that's for the east wall, and that's what it's been 0.45 meters, and that's exactly what it is. This is a typo on the plan, so it's not. We are not proposing 0.9.
We could require a new plan be submitted as part of any approval that we may give, if you like, Mr. Solomon.
Well, I'm just concerned that what we're seeing isn't accurate.
No, I understand.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, sorry, I sort of agree because it looked like it's got a lot more space between the that the notch. But if it's only 0.446 or so, it's only 16 inches. It will be much closer.
It's 0.45 meters. So, and like you can tie me back to that, and you can make it like you can tie me back to the new plan with 0.45 meters, as been in has been mentioned on the in number of variances, and that's and I follow it.
Okay, are there any other questions? Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, should the committee approve this with this discrepancy here, can we make it a requirement of the approval that a new site plan be submitted with the numbers corrected?
Through you, Madam Chair, that would be the best option.
Okay, yes.
I guess the concern I have is that then the neighbors have not received a proper plan to reflect what is being proposed, and so can't really understand correctly what the proposal is.
The neighbor, can I speak? The neighbor is in support of the application, and based on the variances and everything else, they know it's 0.45 meters, and it's not something that has been hidden or anything else. And they write a supportive letter. They're not in objection, and like I said, you can tie me back to that, and I have no problem to do that.
Okay. Anything else you want to add?
Through you, Madam Chair, does the configuration of the building remain the same?
Did you hear that question, sir? That's from the Deputy Secretary Treasurer.
Yes. It will. Yes, it will stay the same.
And none of the other variances will change?
No variances will be changed.
Well, I'm not sure, what does that mean, the configuration remains the same? Is that configuration at the back towards the rear, is that remaining the same as shown on the site plan?
Well, it's going to stay as the same that you have on the variances, like 0.45 meters. It would be the same configuration, so it's not.
I think we're asking is on the site plan, is that configuration remaining as is? Is that what the committee secretary was
Yes,
General
that's
was asking?
correct. That's correct. So right now, the site plan shows the side wall that then juts into the site. So it's an L-shaped. Does that configuration remain the same?
Exactly.
Or will the side wall be completely along that side lot line at 0.4 meters?
No, the configuration. Hello? Yes. Hi. The configuration will stay the same, exactly the same. It would be the same shape.
Okay. Any other concerns? concerns? Ms. Chan?
Actually, I do not agree with what he said, because if you look at their plans, the floor plans, if you look at the dimensions from the north wall and the south wall, they actually, it's got more space in between the, the notch, because if you look at the dimension, and the north is about 19 feet and 4 inches, and then the bottom is about 23 feet and 3. So it's about 4 feet in difference. So I think you have to revise the plan too.
So let me, sorry, can I speak? So let me
Final comment before we
let me
make a
clarify that. So because one thing I can do on this, if I propose 0.45 meter and I don't have any window, so there's no variances. So I can eliminate this variance, 0.45 meters, and only for the existing part of the wall. We kept the 0 meters as it is, right? And just for the existing part of the wall, it would be 0. And for that one, I don't have any variances. It's just going to be no variances at all. So we just get rid of that 0.45, and where the east wall is sharing with the neighbor would be 0. And there is no variance for that because I can go as much as I can as per bylaw.
Okay. Well, let's take it into committee and see what the members want to do with this. I mean, I guess the other option is to defer it and have them come back with proper plans. So, okay, Ms. Chan, go ahead.
Yes, actually, I also discovered if you look at the roof plan, and also the dimension is 7.76 meter, that little notch, and then there's a lot of the discrepancy between, between drawings. At the upper level, yeah, there's a dimension. Yeah, there. Oh, sorry. Another done, another drawing below, move down. Oh, okay, move up. Sorry.
Wrong way.
The roof plan.
Okay.
There. This one. If you look at that, dimension, it actually has dimension is 0.76 meter. Yeah. So I'm not too. Is it 2.6? Yeah, 2 feet 6 inches. Not too sure what's what. If it's 0.45, they can actually push the wall further out, right? And I'm not too sure the GFA or the area is calculated correctly. Then if they have drawings that do not match what they are applying.
Okay, so I think we need to make a decision here whether we feel that we need these plans corrected and defer the matter. So I'm in your hands. Mr. Solomon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm confused as to exactly what is happening, and so I would support a deferral to give the applicant an opportunity to revise their plans to reflect, or the variances to reflect, to ensure that they match, what the plans and the variances match.
Okay. Do I have a seconder? Is that any other comments, or do I have a seconder for a deferral?
I'd second that.
Okay, so Mr. Solomon, then you've moved. Are you prepared to move the deferral? And
Yes, I am.
okay, and that's seconded then by Mr. Reed. All in favor? And if we can note that it's to correct the plans to make things match, and perhaps the removal of variance number 2 can be incorporated at the same time. Okay, so that matter has been deferred unanimously. The final item this morning is 122 Campbell Avenue. That's item number 20. We have one variance before us, very straightforward. Do I have the agent on the line?
Hi there, this is the homeowner at 122 Campbell Avenue, Murray Lovett.
Okay, I have no speakers, and I have one copy of plan of survey, site plan, tree protection plan, floor plans, and elevations. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, Mr. Love, we've read all the material. We're ready to make a decision. Is there anything you want to add that's not in the submissions?
No, I mean, it's a very small change, 0.05 FSI onto an existing building. So very simple, just a growing family that needs a little bit more space.
Okay. Panel member, Ms. Chan.
Yeah, I agree. This is a straightforward application and there are no oppositions. I move for approval with no condition.
Alrighty, do I have a second? Mr. Reed, second. So moved by Ms. Chan, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor? Application's unanimously approved. So thank you, everyone.